Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 15th monthly TWitWoW Q&A. We are doing pretty well this time around. We're not nearly as bogged down with questions as we've been for the last couple of months, but we've still got 59 questions this time around, and I'm going to tell you guys, if anyone gets their questions in while we're answering, we probably can manage to answer a couple more afterwards, because I know we've got, some people that haven't asked that usually do, that usually like to wait till the last minute, and we went live an hour earlier than usual this week or this month, so if anyone gets questions in between now and I'd say probably like 8 p.m. Eastern time, we'll probably still count them towards this Q&A. I'll just have to add them into the Google Doc as we go. But yeah, man, how are you feeling about this month?
Brother, I'm feeling good. The questions that I got to take kind of a peek at were very interesting, as I've come to expect from our audience, because some of them really think outside the box. And we know that these are always a deep-seater, so let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into that first question.
All right, man. Well, our first question comes from Storyteller Wes on Twitter. He asked this on the day of our last Q&A, the day that we finished. He was right in there immediately with a question, and really with three questions. First of which being, if you could pick any one of the Mae Young Classic competitors to become a women's champion, who would it be?
Well, obviously my bestie, Kairi Sane, but outside of her, because I wanted to pick a few other people, Serena Deeb, I think, would make an amazing babyface champion in the women's division, because her match against Piper Niven showed me, like, wow. I feel like she did Bayley better in that match than we've seen Bayley do in the last few months, if I'm being truthful. Obviously Toni Storm, I adore her and her work. Yeah, and I'm going to keep it at those three. I think three is a nice, clean number, so I'll volley it over to you, partner. Who would you like to see as a women's champion from the Mae Young Classic?
Yeah, I can dig that. I have one answer and one answer only, and whether it's, the right answer or not is subjective, but to me, the one person that comes to my mind that I think is just criminally underrated by the WWE, because if they rated her appropriately, she would have already held the women's championship by now, because she wouldn't be, she wouldn't be a free agent. She'd be signed up, and she would have debuted on NXT and had a run there and been on the main roster, because they're just so late to the party on her. And that's Santana Garrett. And you probably knew that I was going to say that, but like, she's too good to not be either on their radar or under contract already.
No, what I love about that answer was I wasn't expecting it. I thought you were going to go with your girl, Dakota Kai.
No, but the thing with Dakota Kai is I'm expecting it to happen. Like, I don't think we're more than like 2 years away from her being a women's champion. But with Santana, she's not even on the roster.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate that answer, man. That's good shit. So I guess rolling right along. Next question from Wes.
Next question from Wes we got was, cast the Marvel Cinematic Universe Avengers, and he specified Hulk, Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, Widow, and Hawkeye. I think Black Widow specifically, and Hawkeye, using wrestlers from any promotion. So I'll go first on this. I think Thor is the easiest, because Triple H is the easiest possible Thor. He even has the hammer to back it up.
Yeah.
Hulk, I'll say Brock Lesnar makes sense to me. Iron Man, Damian Sandow, I guess, because he's like the guy that's so smart it's obnoxious. Captain America has to be John Cena. Black Widow, let's go with Ember Moon. And Hawkeye, Killshot.
Ooh, I love that one. Yeah, you know what? I pretty much agree with your roster. I think the only changes I would make is, to me, I would make Hulk Braun Strowman, because him being Lesnar, he'd only show up to save the world when it was convenient for him. So we want a full-time Hulk.
To be fair, Hulk himself didn't even show up for Captain America Civil War. So
that is true.
Yeah,
that is true.
It does kind of fit that description pretty well.
Yeah, I guess so. I'll still go with Strowman, though, because I don't want to exactly replicate your answer. You took the words out of my mouth with John Cena being Captain America, because I thought of that when I first copied this question. Love that Thor is Triple H, and I really can't think of anybody else that could kind of take that. Let me think. And Hawkeye, yeah, you know what? I'll even keep Hawkeye and Widow. That's kind of a debate. Because I do like Ember Moon, but I just wonder if the way Widow is, like, if there'd be any of a better choice. Because I'm wondering, like, would Peyton Royce work or would anybody work? So yeah, we'll even keep Ember Moon. That works for me too. So yeah, I think the only change I would make would be my Hulk would be Braun Strowman. And who'd you say your Iron Man was? You said Damian Sandow, right?
Yeah, I was just trying to think more Tony Stark than Iron Man, because to me, like, the character needs to be like really obnoxious about how smart they are, and the only person in wrestling I could think of that fit that was Sandow. I guess you could go with, like, if you want to go old school, you could go with Lanny Poffo.
Yeah. Oh my God, Lanny Poffo in an Iron Man suit. He'd be rhyming.
That's the thing too, is like Iron Man always has like that badass vibe to him. So
yeah, I'll even agree with your Iron Man answer, because I was debating that too. But you're right. If we're thinking about intellect, there are not many characters in wrestling that have really had that kind of gimmick. So yeah, I guess my only change again would be my Hulk would be Braun Strowman, because yeah, I think that works. So next question.
I think I just went with the most generic cookie cutter answers possible for that.
But you know, I think if you adhere to that, I mean, you know, that's fine. I mean, it makes sense. So like, why the hell not? So what was Wes's next question?
Wes's third and final question was, who was the better villain, Frieza or Cell?
Could I go first on this one?
I'm probably going to agree with you, but yeah, go ahead.
You know, like, it's actually become, I think, more of a debate over time, because I think too, and I'm not saying this is part of our discussion, but I think for this new generation of fans, they're also going to equate a bridged Frieza and a bridged Cell, like, into the discussion. In which case, like, if we're looking at just DBZ as DBZ, Cell all the way. Like, I think Cell created the most badass moments, or he was a part of them. Frieza, like, he was really villainous in that he almost slaughtered an entire race. But Cell even said that if he wasn't stopped, he could have destroyed the universe itself. So he was literally like the quintessential existential threat to all life in the cosmos. So yeah, I'd say on the whole, Cell was a better villain. And even when we take a bridge into account, while I love Little Karibo as Frieza, it's just an amazing experience. Oh my God, I feel like Cell has been damn near impeccable. So yeah, I'll go with Cell on both counts, and that's just for me personally. I'd be very curious though what our chat that are DBZ fanatics, including the abridged version, would have to say. But I'm gonna have to go with my boy Cell. So there you go.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I mean, Frieza, to me, what made Frieza so iconic was the form changes, and then I feel like Cell did that better.
Yeah, because his was more like absorption. And let's be honest too, I feel like Frieza, and I don't mean to like diss him or anything, he was more legendary for his supporting cast, because I feel like the Ginyu Force was more popular than he was.
I definitely feel like the Ginyu Force were more like they broke more into like the mainstream pop culture than Frieza himself, just because of like the ridiculous poses and stuff. But I do think that among DBZ fans, Cell or Frieza is still the more popular one.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with you. We do have some Frieza supporters, like Bullet Club versus the Shield said Frieza. So yeah, some good shit. Good shit, good shit. All right, well, I guess that sums up Wes's question. So who we got next?
Well, up next, we have got 4 questions from Bullet Club versus the Shield. I think you just mentioned her, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Let's do this.
All right. First up, we've got a question that is for both of us. I think all 4. Yeah, all 4 of these are for both of us. I was confused because our next person had specific questions for each of us. But BCVTS only has questions for both of us, which is great. First question, thoughts on WWE not giving Sasha Banks a long title reign? Do you want me to go first here since you went on the last one?
Yeah, go first on this one.
My problem, honestly, isn't just that they won't give her a long title reign. My problem is that they refuse to pull the trigger on heel Sasha. Because to me, since she's been on the main roster, she's still putting on really good matches, which is just something that we've come to expect of her, because she is legitimately like one of the top 5 best female wrestlers in the ring in the world right now. But at the same time, they just will not pull the trigger on her going heel. And like, there's the excuse of, oh, but merch, and oh, but they need a top baby face, and oh, this and oh, that. But at the end of the day, Sasha Banks at her best is when she is allowed to kind of let loose and cut scathing promos and mock her opponents and You know, that kind of stuff. I feel like she did her best work in NXT as a heel. And when she's a babyface, a lot more of her promos and her character work feels less genuine. It feels more disingenuous to me. So even though it is really ridiculous that they have just refused to really give her the ball and let her try and run with it, I think it's even more ridiculous that they've refused to let her turn heel, because if there was any question about her ability to take the ball and run with it now, that question would get completely evaporated if they would give her a heel run. So that's my answer.
Yeah, oh God, as usual, you give terrific answers, so I'm stuck between parroting you because I agree with it, or saying the exact same thing you said but differently. I'm gonna go with the
And
latter.
worse.
Yeah, yeah. But no, I do. In all seriousness, I agree with you. I think it's kind of a joke that she hasn't been given a legit run. I think she was even asked this on an interview recently, and I wish I could have like heard her response, because I think she said something like, "Man, I don't even know," because like there are times I come into work and I don't even know what's happening. They're like, "Oh, Sasha, you're losing the title tonight." Oh, hello, darkness, my old friend. Yeah, and it's just the same old shit with her. I even told you this is the one unique thing I will bring into the discussion, because you really didn't give me anything else. I can forgive it if only her history of short title reigns could feed into her heel turn narratively. Do you remember when we had that conversation and I told you, hey, Ashton, you know what would be so cool if Bayley or if Sasha won the title as a face, but then she came up against Bayley like in her first defense, and it would be like, it could be on a Raw or pay-per-view because she's just never had a successful title defense, period. And because she knows her history and because Bayley playfully jokes with her about her history, she turns heel mid-match to retain her championship.
Yeah.
And like I told you, like I thought that would be very clever and I would like that. But here's the thing, I've never counted on WWE to be clever. So to me, we're just kind of left with this frustrating thing of why aren't you letting this woman run loose? And I will also add before, you know, letting this question rest, because again, you said practically everything that needed to be said. It's really frustrating to me that you've got a performer like Sasha, when she was in NXT, when it was just purely developmental, find herself, find this boss character, cultivate it, understand it, all that stuff. And then they're not even really taking advantage of who she worked so hard to be. Like, oh, we're going to try and have you be good. And I'm not saying she's terrible at it, but the voice that Sasha found was clearly the voice of a heel. And that's what she worked at, and that's what she cultivated. And the idea that WWE is like, yeah, you know, that's really great and everything, but we're just going to need you to walk back.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Like they're basically
really
telling her like, we appreciate that you've put a lot of effort into doing one thing, but that one thing isn't what we want you to do. So it's like it's like a songwriter that gets really, really good at writing songs and starts producing these great hit singles that a lot of people really love. And everyone that actually is able to bear witness to these songs loves them. But then they get signed to a record label and they're just like, we like that you've been writing all these really great, soulful rock songs, but we want you to do country now.
Yeah, and like I've got to read this. I'm sorry, because it turns out I was right. Bullet Club vs. The Shield said she was asked about the short title reigns in an interview, and she said that she lost her confidence due to her short reigns, and she wonders why the company doesn't believe in her. That hurts my soul, man.
Right?
Like that hurts my soul to read. Oh, what do you think about your job? I love it. I just wish they believed in me, though. Like,
I know. Oh, it's painful. It's painful. Jesus.
Like, way to ruin my fucking world. I was having a good day today. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
All right, next question.
All right, next question, also from Bullet Club versus the Shield, of course, because she asked 4 of them, and that was only the first one. Thoughts on Asuka possibly debuting and winning the title on her Raw debut? Now, I will correct that because she's not debuting on Raw, she's debuting on TLC. But, John, do you think she will debut and win the title at TLC?
Yeah, and even if it may be an unpopular opinion, which I suspect it might be, I think it's a smart move. Why not? I mean, we got to remember when Paige debuted, she ended AJ Lee's ridiculously long reign. I see this as kind of an inversion of that. This is somebody coming in that's white hot, that has a mystique about her, that has a streak. Like, what? It's going to be inevitable anyway. I'd rather they do it on her debut and you just reset the division with her as the focus as quickly as possible than drag it out with some faux drama that we are expecting it to end any other way than what it's going to end. So yeah, I think it will happen, and to be quite honest, I think it's a smart move. You've got the hype engine, fucking use it. Like, use the mystique, use everything. My only concern with Asuka, because I think this was asked Actually, this was asked later, so I'm not going to jump the gun, but I have more to say about Asuka later. What about you, Ashton? Do you think that's going to happen, and do you think it's a smart move?
I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, it would be a smart move if they would do it, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's more likely that she like shows up after whatever women's championship match we get at TLC, because I don't think she's going to be in it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, I'd love it if she was, immediately like, hey, Alexa, since nobody else is able to challenge you, we're going to put you against the new girl, and it's Asuka. And they make this big deal out of it, but I don't think that that's how it's going to go.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, that's about all I have to say about that. How about you?
Yeah, I'm good on that. We can move on to our next question.
Alrighty, third question. Do you see Ember Moon turning heel soon if the Mae Young Classic winner, so Kairi Sane, wins the championship?
I
like that question, actually. I think that's a really, really well thought out question.
I agree. I appreciated that question as well, because it's been something I've been ruminating for a while. Like, would Ember Moon turn heel? And to be honest, see, if she didn't get a good reaction at Brooklyn, like if she got booed out of the building, then I'd say hell yes. But they actually gave her a standing O after her performance, which I feel like was like that show of respect. So I feel like any plans they did, they may back off a little bit. I'm not taking it entirely off the table, but you know what? Against my scummier judgment, I'm actually going to say no, she won't. No, she won't. I think she'll keep grinding away at it, and I think they'll make her moment a bigger deal because of that seal of approval and, NXT crowds outside of Full Sail gave her. What do you think, though, Ashton? You give more thought to some of these things.
No, dude, the thing is, like, when I first read the question, I was like, that makes sense. I could see it happening, but you're absolutely right. I don't think that they would take the babyface momentum that she built up with that match against Asuka at TakeOver Brooklyn 3 and just throw it away just because, like, oh, heel turn, guys. You love this. Cheer her now, even though she's a bad guy.
Yeah. It's like, oh, this isn't the heel you wanted? We said Roman Reigns. Too bad. But yeah.
Oh, my God. I love it.
All right, next question.
All right, fourth and final question from Bullet Club vs. The Shield. Do you think Seth Rollins can be world champion again in the next year? Now, I'm going to go first on this, and I'm going to just say, when you say world champion, that does imply Universal or WWE. And I'll say, if we are going to keep Rollins on Raw and he's not going to SmackDown in a shakeup, no, I don't think they're going to give him the Universal title by September of 2018. But if we do move him over to SmackDown, I could see him winning the WWE Championship by September of 2018. So there's your answer for me.
I mean, I really completely agree with everything you said. I think the Universal title, which is funny because you'd think in a way like that would give it this air of prestige. But I think, again, Brock's got a monopoly on it right now. And then even when Reigns wins it at WrestleMania 34, which I've just come to terms with that's happening, it does open the floodgates a little bit. Like, oh, I could believe Finn Balor beating him or Seth beating him because Seth's beaten him multiple times. But I still feel like they're going to want to make him the man. Like, here's the thing, and I'm just going to be straightforward. I don't know if Ashton, if you agree with this, but given that he kicked out of 4 AAs at No Mercy, like, this really is Roman Reigns' time. Like, I know he always says it. Well, he doesn't always say it, but we always say it like in that heelish way.
No, John Cena said it for him in the freaking Raw talk.
Exactly. Like John Cena, the way he was in 2007, get ready for Roman Reigns to be that way, I think, for the next few years, because I think that him kicking out of 4 AAs was a harbinger of things to come. He is going to be the new Lesnar. The only difference is he's full-time instead of part-time. So with that in mind, again, going back to what I said, I do agree with you, because I think when on SmackDown, your ceiling right now is Jinder Mahal being the guy. Seth Rollins could absolutely step in and win that championship. That's why I'm glad Rusev's there, because I still believe he could have a run. I do believe Shinsuke is going to have his run sooner rather than later. I guess the only guy left out in the cold is Baron Corbin, but that's another story for another time.
Oh, dude, there's no way Baron Corbin wins that WWE title within the next year. Like, I think right now his ceiling is U.S. title.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Seth, yeah, I think the sky's the limit on SmackDown. Is it impossible on Raw? Not necessarily, but
yes.
Man, they have got a vision for that title and includes
I mean, dude,
the most OP fucking
like,
people.
If you think about it, we've already resigned ourselves that Lesnar's holding it until April, and like we're talking the next year, so that only goes to September. So we're talking about a 5-month window that Seth would need to beat Roman Reigns to win the title in? Like, what are the odds? And really, I'll even say 6 months, because WrestleMania is at the very beginning of April, and we're close enough to October that we can call it 6 months. But we're talking about a 6-month window. Seth would need to beat Roman. And the way that they're building Roman and the blow off that they're going to give Roman at WrestleMania, what are the chances of him only holding that title for 6 months? And if he does only hold the title for 6 months, what are the odds of Seth being the specific person to beat him for it? Like, to me, if anyone beats him for that title, it's going to be Braun Strowman, and it's going to be probably at SummerSlam at the earliest.
And you know what? We already touched on that too in our No Mercy preview and predictions. And what did I tell you? Like I said, they probably were going to do that, but it ain't going to mean as much as it would have meant if Braun would have beaten Lesnar at No Mercy. And I got to say, it's hilarious when you depict like Seth's chances, because I just picture Roman sitting fireside laughing to himself. Odds. I'm Roman Reigns. I am the odds. So yeah, that's pretty much the Universal title, but WWE title's wide open. With that said, let's move on to our next set of questions. Who we got?
All right. Well, next set of questions are from Brandon Best. He's got a question for you, a question for me, another question for you, and a question for both of us. How did that feel?
Hooray! Let's do it.
All right, first question for you, John. How would Elijah Witt handle WWE if he purchased it for $2.9 billion, $2.9 billion?
You know, like, I've only seen one interview with the guy, because I know Brandon's like this huge Kane Hill guy, and we already said like we're not. So I apologize, Brandon, if the answer's ill, like substantive. You can only expect so much from me, but seeing the one interview with him and seeing him on Twitter, like, he seems like a funny. I think honestly he'd probably divvy the company up and just do whatever the fuck he wanted with it. Like, he doesn't know the wrestling business. Like, this isn't like Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins. Last I heard, I don't know if Elijah Witt's a wrestling fan or not. If he isn't, I could just see him using that as just another base for his music operations. Like, oh, we do music now, but we're a wrestling company. Yeah, you weren't really good at that. We're a music company now. Or just selling it off maybe to an even higher bidder, making a quick buck, and then again, furthering that music. So I don't know. I really don't think much would happen. And now, if he was a wrestling fan, I could only begin to speculate what he would want to do. Who knows? Maybe he'd actually be good. Anything has to be better than the out-of-touch octogenarian that I'm just slowly waiting to die. So, yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on that. Let's move on to Ashton's question.
Oh, boy. My question is, did you watch the film Concussion? And if so, what did you think of it? This is going to be quick, because I haven't watched the film Concussion.
Sweet. So now let's move on to my next question.
What are your thoughts on Eastern philosophers versus Western philosophers, the epic rap battles of history?
And now this is where I do actually have to take a moment to thank Brandon, because I had known of this thing's existence, but I don't know why. I had never watched it when it was first released. So given that it was Q&A, if I watched one whole season of 13 Reasons Why, I'm not triggered, you're triggered, I could certainly watch this for 4 minutes.
To this day, I still can't believe you put yourself through that for one Q&A question.
I still can't believe Hannah Baker put her friends and family through that. That bitch, I'm glad she's dead. There, I said it. I said it, okay? I'm glad she's dead. But yeah, this was great. This was actually fucking amazing. Being a philosophy nerd, I was grinning like an idiot. Some of the lines were legit impressive. And I've actually listened to it on repeat. I favorited that shit. In fact, the next step will probably be downloading it so I never lose it and it'll never go off YouTube, which I doubt, because Epic Rap Battles is a verified channel. But yeah, it's amazing. I listened to a few others outside of that, and they weren't nearly as good. Like, it was really well done, and that's not even my philosophy bias. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed it. So yeah, Brandon got a big thumbs up for me, and I thank you for that recommendation. He probably did that because he's like, man, I put him through 13 Reasons Why. I got to give him something good. So we're good now, Brandon. We're good. We're good. All right, question for both of us?
Yeah, man, we got one more questions for both of us. The question is, would either of you ever wear anything from Black Craft Cult? I'm going to just start out with this. Probably not, just because my taste in clothing is the most simplistic, basic stuff you can possibly imagine. Like, the only real brands and logos that I wear are wrestling related and the Atlanta Falcons. Like, other than that, it's just plain, straight colored t-shirts for me. Like, I don't really worry about these crazy, like, specific brand designs or anything. And that's the thing too. Like, Black Craft Cult is like to me, that's like freaking Abercrombie and Fitch for metalheads. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I could see like the way you are with clothes. I'm like, if I can wear it on my back, I'll probably be cool with it. But at the same time, like if I want to express my taste, I mean, for me, it's wrestling shirts. I even have a few philosophy shirts that I own, and yes, that is actually a thing. But with Blackcraft Cult, I've always thought that that was for the Satanist community. Aesthetically, I think the shirts are pretty badass looking. Like I won't lie about that. But it's not something that I identify with, and it's not something that I'm like, ooh, I have to have that shirt. Whereas if there's a wrestler I really like, I'm like, ooh, when are they coming out with a shirt? Or if there's a philosophy shirt that I'm like, I get that, or that's so me. Like, I'll do that. I think, when I go into that territory, I want to identify with it a little bit. And I just don't identify with what Blackcraft Cult is really about, even though aesthetically, again, some badass shirts there. So that rounds out.
Yeah, I mean, I can appreciate that Brandon has his values, but he's starting to really feel like he's trying really hard to evangelize us stuff, and it's getting a little over the top with every month these questions being related to the same stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you do you, man, but we're pretty set over here. So next set of questions.
All right, our next set of questions are from Abel on,
God, I
Twitter,
love his
Facebook,
face.
YouTube, whatever. First question is just for you, John. What's the story behind the Present Sal nickname?
Oh my God. First of all, Abel, I don't even know if you're listening to this right now. I love your existence. It's amazing. It gives me life. Second of all, just to keep it very succinct, Sal, like, he'll share Facebook memories and he'll always say, like, shut up, past Sal, nobody cares, or shut up, past Sal, you're a goddamn idiot. And I would read some of these musings from past Sal, 2013, 2012, even further back, and I'd be like, wow, Sal was a fucking, like, if I was capable, I'd probably punch him in the face and then laugh about it. Like, I probably would have been a bully to past Sal. But present Sal, which it also works on another level because obviously the present quickly evaporates into the past. But present Sal is amazing. He's a funny dude. Yeah, we have places where we disagree, spiritually and other intellectual venues. But he's such a good guy and such a loving dude and funny as fuck and just all around amazing that, like, Present Sal is like, that's my affectionate name for him because we both hate past Sal and we even kind of join in on the jokes together. So yeah, that's just the story behind that. It's really just a symbol of, like, the friendship that we've cultivated and that I'm very thankful for. So that's
I'm really glad that, first of all, you got to tell that story because that's adorable. But second of all, that I'm a little bit more private because, quite frankly, I feel like you wouldn't even like present me if you knew about past me.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, dude, here's the thing. I'll be forthcoming with everybody. I hate past me. So it's not even like, everybody's past selves suck except mine. I'm awesome. No, I suck too. I suck just as much as the rest of you. I'm just happy with all the present selves that we are. And yeah, Sal's a really cool dude. I hope when he listens back to this, he appreciates what I said because I adore him. Love you, present Sal. So what's our next question from Abel?
Our next question from Abel, second questions for both of us. Should there be an age of consent? And if so, what should it be?
Ooh, can I know I went first on the last one. Can I go first on this one too, though? Because,
sure thing, dude, go for it.
I've thought about this for a long time. I've talked to my sister about this. Let's just say, to keep it as succinct, like, I've had, family that's violated the law in this sense. So it's kind of a very personal question for me. Look, obviously things like child porn and, like, 5-year-old, 6-year-old, like, people really young like that, that's wrong, that's disgusting, no need to even say it. I do think, personally, I think we get in a bit more ambiguous territory when you're talking about 16, 17, around there, because I'll give you one case of exactly what I'm talking about. North Dakota had a case, and this was fucking mind-boggling to me. And you had this couple, right? I think they were both 16, and they sexted each other. Now, whether you want to say it was stupid or not, fine. But it's expected in this culture today that kids that age would do that. The cops arrest the guy, right? And they charge him with child pornography, but not just for the picture of the girl that she, willingly, they're on equal footing, sent him. They also charge him with child porn for the naked photo he had of himself. So a naked photo of himself, they incriminated him for as child pornography. And I'm like, if this is where age of consent laws could lead us, could lead these young kids that would have to register as sex offenders when I don't see anything malicious or predatory in their nature, then that needs reform. Now, it gets a bit hazier when we're talking about, well, what should that reform be? Is it lowering the age? Is it adding more qualifiers to certain ages? Like, for example, I know in New Jersey, age of consent, I think is 16, but you can be 13 and have a partner that's only 4 years older than you. So if you're 13 and you're with somebody that's 17, that's legal, but if they're 18, that's illegal. And I don't know, it's a really gray area. I'm actually immensely curious what Ashton will have to say here in a few moments, but I wanted to speak first because that North Dakota case, it never left me. I feel so bad for that dude. He's currently serving 10 years in jail. I don't know if they got him out, and he's going to have to register as a sex offender, which ruins your goddamn life. Like, I feel for that kid when it was just a stupid mistake. I don't see anything predatory in what he did. And if things like that can happen to young people that are well-meaning and are just in a relationship, we need to have a serious discussion about this, because I don't think I think it's hurting certain people more than it's helping. And I could say more on the issue, but I know we have a lot of questions to get to. So Ashton, I want your thoughts though, because we have many thoughtful conversations about stuff relating to this. So where do you kind of sit on it?
Yeah, this is one of those situations where I don't really have like a correct answer in my mind, or an answer that I see as being the correct answer in my mind, because it's a real conundrum, because puberty for most people happens between like 10 and 14 years old, right?
Yeah.
But there has also been a study that came out that said that the human mind and the human brain do not stop developing until a person reaches age 25. So
Yeah.
really the whole 16, 18 thing is entirely arbitrary. That's just some arbitrary number that I think a long time ago, there was a study done that said that people's brains stop developing at 18. But right now, there were more recent studies done that said, no, it goes to 25. So then really, like, if you've got a 24-year-old and an 18-year-old, like, why is that legal? But then like an 18-year-old and a 15-year-old isn't legal. I don't understand how that works.
Yeah.
So I'm not the right person. To me, I'm not the right person to answer this question. I think that there need to be more studies done to figure out what a more appropriate age of consent would be. And I also think that more studies should be done on when an appropriate legal age for drinking and smoking tobacco and smoking other types of drugs that should be legal in a controlled way, when that age should be. Because to me, I don't think that just kind of sitting back and letting the ages that we've set 100 year or how many ever years ago, I don't think that just letting those control and dictate the world today should be a thing. I think that that needs to be updated constantly.
Can I just tack on one more thing before we move on? Because this is
Sure.
just such an interesting topic to me.
Sure.
I think one thing that would help, and excuse me for those that may think I'm speaking out of my ass, we need a streamlined sex education system, because we still have states in this country that are teaching abstinence-only sex education. Like, if you have states that are arbitrarily choosing, well, I'm going to do abstinence, well, I'm going to dispense condoms, well, I'm going to do this, like, we're not prepping these adolescents adequately. And I think if we had a more streamlined sex education system, you could, because I've seen it in other countries, you could lower teen pregnancies, you could lower sexual assaults potentially, and you could make people, regardless of age, when we get, and again, I want to specify that 16,
well, and quite
18
frankly,
area.
I mean, this isn't necessarily a goal that I think we should be striving towards, but you could also lower the age of consent, because really, I think that if you're going to say that, you know, being 18 and having any kind of a sexual relation with a 15-year-old is super illegal and you can go to jail for something like that, but then, like I said, like, if you've got like a 19-year-old and like a 26, 27-year-old, I think that that should be considered more predatory than the 18-year-old and the 15-year-old, honestly.
Yeah, it's to me, because I again, you said earlier that you're not the right person to ask. I don't feel like I'm the right person to ask either, because it is just a weird climate where we find ourselves. But again, I think about that kid, and they were both the same age, who got his life ruined because of these laws. And it just makes me think, like, I don't know what the answer is, but I think we shouldn't be content with having an answer that causes punishments like that, where what's that kid going to do with his life now? Because, you know, that is just so bad. And, you know, I do have, like, it's funny. I've encountered people that are like, oh, I had my first sexual encounter when I was 13. The partner was significantly older, and I liked it. Now, do I think that that should be legal over? Hell no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's a very precarious and complex issue that isn't going to be resolved by this one conversation or any one conversation. I think it's something that, like you said, we need to look at the science. We need to look at the people.
Yeah,
We need
and
to look
that's
at a
another
lot of
thing too.
things.
I think that there really is a systemic problem with it as well, because like you mentioned sex education, and to me, like the fact that there even needs to be an age of consent tells you that there are people who are willing to quote unquote prey, and that's kind of a weird word for me, but still prey on other people with less developed minds. Like this whole thing with like teachers getting with students, like that really could be a problem. But then if like we're talking about like a student that got held back that is older, where do you draw the line on that? And to me, that is like that's where the issue comes in. Like those teachers shouldn't even have it in their minds that that's an option, to the same degree that students who are not necessarily considered adults by society yet, but who are still like, you know, fully formed human beings. If there would be better mental health care in the world, maybe the 15, 16-year-old girl wouldn't have the daddy issues that led to her wanting to get with the 35-year-old teacher in the first place.
Yeah, and can I just say too, I find it kind of laughable in that morbid way, not ha ha, like what the fuck are you doing, fuck you kind of way, where we can have states that could slap guys. 'Cause again, I just keep thinking about that guy, and that's what's driving my discussion here. But there are still states in this country, like we're not talking about some third world or some very repressed country in terms of like women's rights or this and that. There are still states in this country. I think Florida's even one of them, because I came across an article recently that'll sanction child marriages. Now you're going to tell me about age of consent, but you still have institutions that will license and ratify and like sanction child
See, now if we're
marriages.
talking about marriages, I do have an opinion on that. I don't think marriages should be legal before 25 years old.
Yeah, and I would agree with you. I like why the hell would you get these young people, especially again children, into an institution like that with all the complexities? I mean, I don't even agree with marriage to begin with as an institution, but if we're going to talk about it and we're going to critique it, like holy fucking shit, you're talking to me about age of consent, and you're going to say that these two 16-year-olds can't do what 16-year-olds do, but this 12-year-old marrying this 30-year-old because it's a marriage, all of a sudden that has legality to it and legitimacy to it? Fuck that. Fuck, like that is so fucking backwards to me. Like, what the fuck is happening? But yeah, I'm really glad Abel asked this. I mean, this is one of those hot button questions that we get every so often on Q&A.
This was also a discussion that came up in the Discord. This was something that got brought up in the Discord that people were talking about, and I guess that is what kind of sparked Abel asking the question in Q&A. So there's a nice quick little plug for the Discord for those of you that aren't in there already.
Yeah. Yeah, Traverse is like, that's it. I'm moving out of Alabama. Anyway, let's move on and let's decompress. What's our next question here?
Third and final question from Abel. What are your thoughts on NFL players kneeling in protest after Trump's comments?
I'm going to keep my answer succinct because I've already said that, like, I support Kaepernick. I support anybody evoking the First Amendment. And hey, when I say that, that includes people that are like, oh, I'm not watching the NFL anymore. I may disagree with you, but you have a First Amendment right like everybody else. However, all of these other teams doing it, I'm not even going to afford commentary. I can't even believe I'm going to make a plug for a sports show. I never thought that would be me. But Skip Bayless had like a 7-minute segment where he talked about this, and I thought he hit the nail on the head, because what he essentially said, to give the TLDR version for you guys, is that these players didn't lock hands and do all this when Kaepernick first started. For them, it wasn't about racism or anything like that.
It was about rebelling against Trump.
Exactly. It was about rebelling against Trump when he said, oh, you should fire these players. And Skip Bayless, with a great soundbite, said, rich people hate being told what to do. And when you've got these 32 owners being told by Trump, oh, fire your players, they're going to buck back against him and say, well, nobody tells us what to do, buddy. So to me, like, fine, they're doing it, and if it helps Cap in any way and people like Cap, great. But to me, it rings fucking hollow, because you didn't do it when he was doing it for an actual cause. You did it because your power was being checked by somebody else. Let's not lie about it. So yeah, I would seek out Skip Bayless's segment. I thought it was wonderfully articulated. It's probably on YouTube if I had to guess, because he does the show Undisputed. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Ashton, do you have anything to add? Because I know we touched on this before in a prior Q&A, so I don't know if your opinion has much changed.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of blown away that you're quoting Skip Bayless of all people. Like,
I just liked what he had to say. Like, are you a person like blown away in the way like, wow, I can't believe John even knows who that is? Or like,
well, it's a lot of things, because like, oh my God, how do I put this? Skip Bayless in the world of in sort of like the hardcore sports fans' minds is kind of like the Bret Hart of hardcore wrestling fans. Like some people love him, but most people see him as a complete blowhard joke who knows nothing and doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Okay. Okay, so he's a divisive figure in a way.
Yeah, or like the Jim Cornette. Yeah, he is literally the Jim Cornette of NFL commentary.
Oh wow. I
So
thought
much more, so much more nail on the head than Bret Hart. Like Bret Hart was just me almost like projecting, but no, it's literally Jim Cornette. Like he is the Jim Cornette of NFL commentary, and I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
That's his whole thing too. Is like he's a hardcore Dallas Cowboys fan. He always picks the Cowboys to win, even when they suck. He is extremely biased towards and against certain players, and has the worst confirmation bias. Like, oh, Aaron Rodgers is overrated because of this, even though he's like, proven so many times that he's not. And oh, Tom Brady, blah blah blah. Like he is the sort of God, I can't think of the word, but he is like, when you imagine over the top, obnoxious sports media coverage, Skip Bayless is the face of all that.
That said, I will say I still think his statements on this particular issue were on point in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what he said, I love that because that's hilarious to me. But yeah, like I think, I mean, I don't really know why he made it about the owners, because there were definitely, I mean, you know what? I do know why he made it about the owners, because the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones, I think is his name, Jerry something. I think it's Jerry Jones. Was like the only owner that I saw intentionally go and find a cameraman so that the cameraman would be on him when he took a knee for the national anthem. Like he is the biggest press media attention whore, to the point that he literally seeked out a cameraman to be like, hey man, come over here and start filming. You're about to catch the biggest possible deal. And he made sure that the cameraman filmed him taking a knee for the national anthem. So, and of course, because the NFL world revolves around the Dallas Cowboys, if you're Skip Bayless, of course he makes it about the owners. But to me, it's much more about the players. And I also think that there's a really good chance that the players who did it when it wasn't like a coach or owner mandate, the players who did kneel were probably kneeling in unity with Kaepernick, because like Kaepernick was the one that started the whole thing. And like there's I don't know, man. I'm really, it's touch and go with me. I don't know how to feel about it, but it's really one of those situations where I wish I knew whose motivations were what. You know what I mean?
I mean, I could tell you as far as Kaepernick goes, because I've seen a lot of people say like evil shit about him. I think I even said this on the last Q&A. The guy backs up what he says. Like he's made donations to causes that he's protesting for. I know he once stood outside a parole office because there were people coming in for parole, I guess to get ready for job interviews or whatever. And he stood outside of them giving suits to people so they could look nice for their job interviews. Like the guy is committed. And that's why I feel for Kaepernick. I'm not a big football fan. You know that. Like I follow the Falcons. I love the Falcons, but I'm a very self-contained football fan. I'll put it to you that way. But when I look at Kaepernick, to me, it becomes less about football and more about social issues. And, I know we've got diversity of opinions even in chat, but for me, I think Cap's a good dude. Even if you disagree with what he's doing, which I could have a lot to say about that, but I won't. You can at least say that the guy's authentic, and I respect him for that. I really do. Because I think a lot of people, they do stuff, and hell, I've probably even done stuff where I think, oh, I'm so noble, but the shit rings hollow. For Cap, I don't think it does. And I think I'll always have his back for that, even if it's just in forums like this. So good questions from Abel. And
absolutely. Thanks, Abel. We appreciate the questions. Definitely thought invoking. Let's get to our next set. Erases Fan Rocks here has 4 questions. First one is for me. Should the NFL have special games during the season with color rush jerseys and refs in different colored jerseys? Yeah, I love color rush jerseys. I think they're freaking awesome, and refs being in different colored jerseys is like, yeah, sure. I don't really have a problem with that. It's kind of to me, that's more a financial decision that they would have to make. Like, is it worth it to the NFL to use this stuff? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so, like to me, anytime you want to do a little extra to just kind of make things a little more interesting, like I'm not gonna complain about that,
Yeah, certainly not, man. Certainly not. So you said that question was just for you, so
I'm pretty sure. Let me go back and read it. He said, should they get rid of the color rush and do special games during the season and have the two teams playing in it and have the special ref jersey? Wait, I'm so confused. Special jersey for that game, like how the NFL does it for the outdoor games. Yeah, I have no clue how to answer the question the way he worded it. I think I reworded it when I typed it out because I legitimately was struggling to read it. But do you think that NFL should get rid of the color rush and do special games during the season and have the two teams playing in it have special jersey for that game, like how the NHL does it for the outdoor games? I don't know where I came up with referees through all that, but I mean, you're basically saying, should the NFL get rid of color rush and then do color rush? I don't really understand the question there. So, yeah, I'm not sure.
All right. Well, I guess not much you could do about that. Let's move on then. What's our next question?
All right. Next question from Racist Fan Rocks. This is for both of us. He said it was for me, and if you want to answer it, you can. What two sports would you take out? Oh God, I'm so sorry, Racist Fan Rocks, but you're really difficult to read your typing. What two sports would you take? What of the winter and summer? So one from, and what sport replaces them?
Oh, so I guess one from the Winter Olympics, one from the Summer Olympics, I guess, and what would you replace each one with?
I guess so. Yeah, that I'm just gonna let it go with that. Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying here, man. We're trying. So starting with the Winter Olympics, what would you take out and what would you replace it with?
I don't know jack shit about the Olympics. For the Winter Olympics, oh man. I mean, the thing is, the Winter Olympics it's really limited because it's like all stuff that you can only do in the winter. Like they have like the toboggans and the sleds and the skiing and the snowboarding and the curling and all that fun stuff. But I don't know what I would take out. I want your opinion on this because I have no freaking answer. Not a good one, at least.
I mean, I could be a dick and be like, oh, for Winter Olympics, take out curling. But yeah, like the thing is, no matter what you pick to take out, the harder question to me is what would you replace it with?
Oh, really I would take out speed skating because that looks really, really awful and boring.
But what would you replace it with? I think that's the more difficult question.
I mean, ice hockey is already a part of the Winter Olympics, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because that's like the only thing I could think of that I would replace it with. So, I mean, winter, what's in wintertime? I mean, we could do like American football in the Olympics. That would be different.
You know, I'd love if we could take from Avatar: The Last Airbender and we could make penguin sledding an Olympic event. That would be dope as fucking hell.
Like, really, though, that's like the only thing I can think of because, like, the NFL season, it's got like 3 months in fall and 3 months in winter. So it really could be a Winter Olympic game if you make American football an Olympic game. Like, it would be extremely difficult to do because of how much easier it is to get injured in American football than pretty much all of the other sports that are in the Olympics. But right. I don't know, man. I can't think of anything else. So let's take out speed skating and replace it with American football because why the hell not?
Sure. All right, next question.
What was your answer? You didn't give an answer.
Oh, well, no, he said but didn't I have a choice if I participated or not?
Oh, are you choosing not to?
I'm choosing not to. I have nothing to give to this because, like you, I know very little about the Olympics, and really the only thing I'd say would be like, I don't know, take out figure skating, replace it with Olympic snowball fighting. You know, maybe you have like, you wear these jackets with like different colored targets, and if a snowball hits a target, you get a certain point value for your country. Yeah. Olympic snowball fighting.
That's amazing.
Fight me, comment section.
That's amazing. So, yeah. That's so good.
So yeah, that's what I'm gonna say because I'm a doucher. So there you go. Next question.
Well, I mean, what about Summer Olympics? We have to do Summer Olympics too.
Summer doesn't matter. Like,
I mean, I'll tell you what I wouldn't take out of the Summer Olympics, and that is like everything because I want volleyball. I think tennis. Is tennis an Olympic game?
I think it is, dude.
I think it is too. Yeah, I want tennis. I want.
Tennis. I love amateur wrestling, so I'm not taking that.
Yeah, amateur wrestling, and then like all of like the track and field stuff, like the vertical jump and the different races and all that good stuff. Like I don't want to take that out. I mean, I don't really know, man. Like, this is like the weirdest question just because neither one of us knows anything about the Olympics whatsoever. There you go, racist fan rocks. He even said it. He's answering his questions for us. Take out golf because golf isn't a real sport.
Oh shit! Golf community getting attacked. Oh my god! Everybody's gonna be coming for you now because I know you shared with me sometimes your history of tweeting about sports and the responses that you get. If you were to tweet out golf isn't a real sport you watch, Tiger Woods is gonna be sliding in your DMs. What'd you say to me?
I'm sorry, but golf was invented by a bunch of rich people to feel better about everyone else.
Oh, doubling down. But,
golf is literally croquet for the rich.
Oh my god, dude, if we ever make it big, you watch, some petty person's gonna dig through the TWitWoW archives. They're gonna find this. It's gonna be sensationalist headlines. Ashton declares war on golf. I'm just saying, I think it's a marquee sport for 1%ers.
I mean, okay, but then what would I replace golf with? Badminton.
Oh, dude, see, then you could have ran with the headlines. Ashton responds, what would I replace golf with? How about anything else?
Ping pong! Yes! Table tennis. I want Olympic table tennis. Ping pong, baby. Let's do it. We're here.
I am actually somewhat tentative about the feud you may have started with the golf community. But with that said, let's move on.
Oh, what are they going to do? Slowly walk over to me and try and touch me with their pole?
Now you've got to end it in classic Ashton style. You call it an opinion, but you're just wrong.
No, it doesn't even deserve that.
Let's move on to our next question. Jesus Christ.
Ping pong is already in the Olympics? What have I been missing out on my whole life?
Yeah, upgrade from your curling, bruh. God.
I mean, okay, well then how about this one? How about Olympic dodgeball?
I feel like that might also be a thing. Unless they discontinued it. I feel like there was
the ultimate dodgeball like is an actual sport, so they could totally go Olympic.
Oh god, now my son's joining your anti-golf crusade. He's like, golf is for marks. I mean, on one hand, I'm a proud parent, but on the other hand, I don't know.
Yeah, dude, so, no. Dodgeball is not in the Olympics.
Oh, okay. Okay, so yeah,
but
perfect.
It should be. It's actually a petition. There's a petition to add dodgeball as an Olympic sport. Yes.
Petitions are for actually,
but it's got 100 and it only got 164 signatures out of 8.
Oh, that's so basic. You didn't want it bad enough, dodgeball fans. What the shit? 164. Oh god. All right. That was a more fun question than it had any right to be. But did Racist Fan Rocks ask anything else?
Racist Fan Rocks had 2 other questions actually. The first one: Ashton is Wrestle Circus. John is PWG.
Okay.
How would you book it so that Chuck Taylor versus Sammy Guevara is your main event and you have a War Games match? Who do you have in it? Who are the captains? And then make the rest of the card. Well, the rest of the card is probably going to be like 10 matches, so we're not going to do a full card. But to start things out, John, who would you have in the War Games?
So Chuck Taylor's already in the main event with Sammy Guevara, right? You said that already.
Yeah, that's a thing.
So War Games, on one team, I'd have Zack Sabre Jr., Marty Scurll. How many
representing PWG?
How many people per team? 5?
War Games. Oh God, I thought it was 3. Oh no, 4 or 5 or more.
I'll stop. Jeez, John, do you really want to?
We'll just go with 5. We'll just go with 5.
All right. Well, yeah. Way to stick the gun there. Zack Sabre Jr., Marty Scurll, not Keith, Trevor Lee, because I know.
Yeah, I was gonna say Keith Lee is mine.
That's a little possessive there.
Zack you Sabre can't Jr., have him. He's only wrestled like 4 times on your shows, and he's been in a Wrestle Circus forever.
That's true. I'll give you that. Trevor Lee. And then 4 and 5, I'll say Cage and God, who else? You know what? I'll say Ricochet, because that should count. So Ricochet.
Yeah, that counts. So just to go back over it, okay, so from the beginning, who was your first person again?
Zack Sabre Jr., Marty Skrull, Trevor
Marty,
Lee,
Trevor,
Cage, and Ricochet.
Okay, and Ricochet. Okay, so you've got 2 technical UK guys. Trevor Lee, Ricochet, and Cage. Well, obviously, I already kind of showed my hand. I've got to have Keith Lee on my side. I'm also going to add Scorpio Sky to my team. Somebody that has literally only ever wrestled in Wrestle Circus, if we're talking about just these 2 promotions, is Saurus. So I'm going to have him. Yeah, shit. So he's gonna help me big time. Let's add in Shane Strickland, since he is the current Wrestle Circus Ringmaster Champion. Let's see, who else? Let's see. I'm really tempted to add John Morrison because he's wrestled more Wrestle Circus shows than PWG, but I won't.
Don't you do that to me. I would force my team to forfeit. Oh, man.
Let's see. It's hard because of like just trying to think of who's on the roster. So far I've got Keith Lee, Luchasaurus, Scorpio Sky. Oh God, Donovan Dijak got signed by WWE. I also have Shane Strickland, so that's 4. I only need one more guy. Oh God, I only need one more guy, and I'm gonna drag this out for way too long. Oh shit, Ethan Carter III.
Okay, I like that.
We'll go with EC3. We'll go with EC3. He's gonna be my 5th guy. So yeah. So now I'm going to see if I can go over these teams one more time. Oh, my God. Okay, so we've got Zack Sabre Jr., Marty Scurll, Trevor Lee, Cage, and Ricochet.
Yes.
This is Shane Strickland, Scorpio Sky, Keith Lee, Luchasaurus, and the last guy that I added that I already forgot about, EC3. EC3.
Yeah, EC3. Yeah, EC3.
Okay, so that's our war games. That is going to be insane, but I think I'm going to win because I have Luchasaurus.
Yeah, even I gotta say, I think Luchasaurus is your key to victory there. That guy's a fucking stud in this business right now. And can I say too, Shane Strickland, even though I know he's a distinct entity as Killshot, fuck it, he is killing it right now. So you got yourself a ringer in Shane Strickland because his stock's gonna go up huge next year. I think 2018 is gonna be very kind to him.
Yeah, so, man, he's the Wrestle Circus Ringmaster Champion, and he's the CZW Champion too. He's holding main world titles in all kinds of different promotions, man.
Holy fuck, so screw 2018. His 2017's been really kind to him already. Yeah. And he deserves it, though. He's amazing. So great team. Next question and final question from Racist Fan Rocks.
Yeah, 4th and final question. What city in California, not counting San Diego or Los Angeles, would you like to see get an NXT takeover? And what metal band do you have doing the theme for it?
Well, first of all, I'm geographically inept, so I'm Googling cities in California.
Well, since you're doing that, I'll go first. I'm going to just say I think that they should do it in Anaheim because I feel like we've already had a few Raw shows in Anaheim, so I know that that's a relatively hot crowd for wrestling, and I think that they would be great for NXT. As far as what metal band I would have doing the theme for it, though, I don't freaking know, man. Stop being so specific with your questions. I don't know what bands. I'll tell you what metal bands I know. They're probably just the mainstream ones because I'm not that into metal. The only metal bands that I knew that, and even then, I can't even say they weren't mainstream because I was going to say like Killswitch Engage and Atreyu, but they still ended up being relatively freaking mainstream. So I really don't have an answer for you, brother, on the metal band. So I'm just going to say, like, just because I've been listening to them a lot lately, it's not metal at all, but it is like grunge rock, kind of like bluesy, kind of grungy rock. The Regrets. It's a female-led rock band that's actually really good, and I think that their sound would fit an NXT Takeover card really well. But again, not metal at all.
Yeah, I can't answer the metal question either, so I'm going to follow the lead of my partner and not even try. And I would say California. So NXT TakeOver Fresno. It just kind of rolls off the tongue.
Oh, I like that, though. I like that. That does roll off the tongue. And Javaris had a really good example, too. Good suggestion, too. Oakland, California would be a good option, too.
NXT TakeOver Oakland. Yeah, leave it to our TWitWoW pimp to come in with a clutch like that. That giggle you made. Yeah, so NXT TakeOver Fresno. And that
God, Alex Foster with the most, the most wordy of the group. NXT TakeOver Cucamonga.
this is why your only job is to have the perfect hair. Because see, this is what
Oh,
happens.
Cliff, NXT TakeOver San Francisco, NXT TakeOver Long Beach. So yeah, like the California city wasn't a problem for me. The metal band was like, what?
Yeah, metal isn't even my genre, so like I
I
ain't
mean,
gonna.
I like some metal music. Like if you would straight up, if you would just at random pick one of your favorite metal songs and play it, the odds of me liking it are greater than 50%. But that doesn't mean that I still like know metal bands today.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. So no metal band for me, but yeah, NXT Takeover Fresno. That concludes Racist
I
Fan
love
Rox's
that.
questions. Yeah, dude, that's the power of the internet. I may be geographically inept, but I know how to type words, and it got me that wonderful answer. So, what's our next question?
I know how to type words.
I feel like that's the
Achievement.
like. I feel like that's the modern version of I can wipe my own ass. I can wipe my
own ass.
What's our next question?
All right, we've got 4 questions from Rotten Butter.
Ooh, these are always good.
First one, as always, cool shit over the last month. What have you seen? What have you heard? What have you played? Etc. Etc. Do it.
Well, I have seen some shit, Rotten Butter, so let me walk you through it, bruh. First and foremost, the most amazing thing, finished the latest season of Wentworth. I will say it until I am goddamn blue in the face. If any of you are Orange is the New Black fans, no disrespect to you guys because I love you. You need to get on my level here and you need to watch Wentworth because it is so much better than Orange is the New Black. I mean, maybe Orange is the New Black is better at social commentary at times, but if you're looking for an intense prison drama with badass characters, like Wentworth does the trick. I feel like it had one of my favorite villains in television in like ever. And, you know, season 5 was just amazing, like on every level. I think it gets better every season. So we finished Wentworth. We've started Netflix's Castlevania. It's a 4-episode thing. I can't believe it's that short. We've only done 2 episodes. We're probably going to finish it tomorrow because tomorrow is my family day. So when we get back from eating and stuff, we'll probably finish that. We finished Champs versus Pros of the Challenge, and we're still working through Dirty 30. Still haven't read or listened to any of the philosophy content. I did read a brief article today that was very good. So that was some cool shit I did. Really looking to get back on that train though, because the backlog is fierce. Games. Actually, it's funny. I haven't played it yet, but I got on, and this is what I was going to tell you, Ashton, when we got off Q&A. But because I had such a good day today, I decided to treat myself. I got Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja 4 as part of a Humble Bundle. So I'm going to probably install that tomorrow and play that. Because, yeah, I wasn't as big a fan of Shippuden as I was the original Naruto series, but the games are sick. It's a lot like DBZ in that regard. Games are always reliable. I got Psycho.
Saying it funny, Shippuden.
Hey, look, man, I'm partially Italian, all right? Don't laugh at me. Actually, no, I deserve to be laughed at. I laugh at you and everybody else enough.
You are all over the place, dude. Make up your mind.
I'm making choices, all right? God. I got Psychonauts for free. I played a little bit of that, and no wonder it was free. Like, I know it's a really hyped up game, but maybe I just missed the boat. Like, I can't get it. You know what? And you know why I think that is? Because it's only keyboard supported. If I could play it with a controller, I'd probably have a lot more fun. But keyboard is way too maddening for me, so I'm probably never touching that ever again. What other shows or movies? I can't really think of any movie. Like, I know we've like watched stuff. Pacific Rim.
We watched The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
That was also entertaining. So yeah, we've watched some cool ass movies. Hell, I rewatched Death Note for a 3rd time, which is more than I could say for this.
I watched the first 17 episodes of Death Note for the first time.
Yes, bitch. So yeah, I did a 3rd.
Well, and we all watched Wreck-It Ralph together. That was your first time seeing that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm trying to think if I watched any more anime. Oh, that's right. I continued with the family My Hero Academia Season 2. We're not totally finished that, and I can't wait to touch Attack on Titan either, but I haven't even done that yet. Oh, and one more thing I've watched this month that I'm curious if anybody in chat has watched, and then I'll finally hand the ball mercifully over to you, Ashton. Room 104. It's this anthology series from HBO. It's really hit and miss. I don't know if I'm gonna, no pun intended. Well, actually, no pun intended. I'm already gonna do it. I don't know if I'm gonna check back in to Room 104 when this season ends.
I see what you did there.
I mean, my God, you'd have to be blind not to. Yeah, some of the
Thanks.
stories. Some of the story, I love you. Some of the stories are really good, but others just leave me scratching my head. Honestly, and I don't mean to be like this elitist or like, oh, well, this is just so much better. But if anything, this show gave me a whole new appreciation for Black Mirror because holy fuck, I cannot wait for season 4 of that show.
Oh yeah.
And that reminded me, speaking of season 4 of something, BoJack Horseman on Netflix. Praise be to BoJack. I fucking loved it. So yeah, I actually had a jam-packed month. I normally don't have a lot to say on these usually, so I'm sure Rotten Butter will be pleased. Now, my friend, the floor is mercifully yours. What are some things you'd like to share with all of us?
Here's what you guys need to understand about me, okay? So my usual day doesn't involve me watching anything. My usual day involves me waking up, getting on the computer, having breakfast, and really when I'm on the computer, I'm talking to people. I'm on Reddit, I'm on Discord, I'm socializing on the computer. Like that's the thing that I do most on the computer. And I listen to a lot of music. So rather than saying, oh, this is stuff that I watch, because I really don't watch anything other than what I watch with John, here's what I've been listening to over the last month. Songs that I've added to my pop music playlist that I have that I use to try and keep up with the times so that I don't get out of touch with music. Lights is a new, I think the name of the female is that sings these songs is just Lights. Like, that's just what she goes by. Like it's her. Is that a pseudonym, John? That's a pseudonym,
yeah,
right?
Pseudonym would be the appropriate term for that, yes.
Yeah, so Lights is her pseudonym, and the song Giants is on my list here. Tired by Alan Walker featuring Gavin James is pretty good. Macklemore has a couple new songs out, Marmalade and Glorious, both of them are pretty good. Marshmello, I've become a big fan of because I just enjoy his music because it's like techno EDM kind of stuff, and it's really good. Hear Me Now by, I don't even know how to pronounce this one's name, but it's spelled A-L-O-K. I'm going to say Alok and hope I'm not that wrong. Thunder by Imagine Dragons is one that I've added. Keep It Up by Chase Atlantic is pretty good. And most importantly, the band that I've been completely obsessed with over the last couple days, The Regrets. There's a new song, well, not really new, but a relatively new song by them called Seashore that I absolutely love. And they also do other really, really good music that I've enjoyed quite a bit. I have their CD on my phone on Napster because I have Napster because I'm that kind of hipster because I had Rhapsody for the longest time. It was like I tried to switch over, or not even. I originally had Spotify, and then they jacked the price up, and I switched over to Napster from Spotify. So I was using, or not Napster, I switched over to Rhapsody from Spotify, and then I was on Rhapsody until it got bought by Napster, so now I'm on Napster. So that's my deal. And there is also the band that does PWG music, like the music for when PWG does their preview videos.
Right.
Yeah, that band, I downloaded their CD as well. They're called Barbarian Overlords. And I just downloaded an 11-track CD called Rise Up, and I downloaded that. So that's like, to me, it's I really don't watch anything, and as far as playing, it's just been more of Rocket League with John.
Yeah, and this guy, I think we're both getting better incrementally, even though those bots can really demoralize us sometimes. So I guess
we've upgraded, guys. We've upgraded all the way up to all-star bots, and we're, when we're not getting our asses handed to us, we still win some games against them. It's great.
Yeah. Next question from Rotten Butter.
Next question from Rotten Butter is, what are some of your favorite championship belt designs?
Honestly, I was always a mark for the undisputed title when the belts were consolidated that would later become the WWE title. I always loved that title. Maybe I have a bias because I grew up with it before the spinner belt, but I always thought it had a really great look. Big gold belt, I mean, looks classy as fuck to me. And you know what? I think I'm just gonna keep it there. And honestly, like, I like the way the Intercontinental title looks now, but the way it looked beforehand, I really like that too. So again, the number 3 is a number I like to go with questions like this. So I'll say the Intercontinental title before the reintroduction of the Classic title, the Ruthless Aggression WWE Championship, and the big gold belt, the World Heavyweight title. So those will be my 3. What about you, Ashton?
I've actually grown really fond of the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. I think that's a beautiful belt with the white strap and stuff.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, for sure.
That's a really good looking belt. Yeah, I like that a lot. And I'll always, when these questions come up, I've always got to give a shout out to the Progress World title because that is just gorgeous.
Yeah, yeah. Lucha Underground's world title too. I've definitely like grown on that, not just because Johnny Mundo's holding it, but like,
Dude,
damn,
I mean, I
looks
like
good.
the world title, but to me, the Gift of the Gods title looks so much cooler around someone's waist than that.
Yeah, because you got all those medallions and shit going on. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
it's
Uh,
awesome.
Yeah, man, a lot of cool belts out there right now for sure. It definitely gives me an appreciation. Hell, I mean, even the NXT, like the upgraded titles, the world title's grown on me. I wasn't sure how to feel about it when it was first introduced, but I'm like, you know what? It works. So I'll even give that like a little shout out. But that's all I can say about championship belt designs. What about you? You have anything else you want to put out there?
Nope. Third and next question from Rotten Butter. You're given total control over Lucha Underground's roster and can sign any active wrestler from any company you want, but there's a catch. You cannot change the size of the roster as it currently is. So for every new person you sign, you have to release a member of the current roster. So here's the question. First of all, who replaces Tejano? After that's out of the way, who else gets added and replaced?
Well, yeah, I think we'd agree Tejano would be our replacement. For me, it would either be Naito, because I feel like with his like anarchic spirit, he would do really well in the temple, and he could do like Los Ingobernables de Lucha Underground or something.
I love Naito, but I don't think that Naito is the kind of guy that belongs more in Lucha than New Japan. I think he's right where he belongs right now.
I could understand that. I mean, obviously, we've talked about Stu Bennett in the past. I'm just wondering, like, because if we're putting such a low evaluation on Tejano, which, let's be honest, he deserves, at least from our vantage point, it would almost be unfair to take somebody of exceedingly greater value. So I think for me, yeah, it would be like, I'll go with Barrett, bringing him in, or maybe even like a Cesaro to come in and just have those matches with Jeff Cobb. So yeah, I'd say Cesaro or Barrett. So I think I'll go with Barrett though, because I think we've talked so much about the gimmick, and I even kind of had this vision for the gimmick with him like being the Hitman and like how you could like relegate him and elevate him and all that stuff. So I'll go Barrett for me. What about you? Who would you bring in?
Well, I mean,
wait a minute. Oh wait, not to cut you off. I feel like I screwed up the question because didn't they say you have to take an active wrestler? So Barrett wouldn't even count, would he?
It says sign any active wrestler from any company you want.
Yeah, Barrett wouldn't even count then because he's not even wrestling for anybody last I checked. So I will go Cesaro. I will go Cesaro. Now the floor is yours because, yeah, I did the question wrong. So what do you got?
All right. Let's see. The first one, the easiest, and actually, I do want to ask, do we think it would be fair for me to include people that are still active in Lucha Underground for season 3 that we don't expect to be in season 4, or does it have to be people that we're giving up that would have been in season 4? Because if that's the case, then Prince Puma and Sexy Star become easy cuts as well.
Right.
And Rey Mysterio too.
Yeah, because Rey Mysterio, I don't think he's sticking around. Yeah, I don't know. I took it as like the latter, like, oh, you've got to pick somebody that would be in season 4. So I think cutting people that are already gonna like.
I mean,
bail.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And with that caveat, I will agree. Tejano, I would replace him with Emma easily.
Yeah.
My next cut would be. Oh, it's tough now. It gets really difficult because the thing with Tejano is like I don't think there's anyone in the temple that he doesn't have somebody that does everything he does better than he does.
Right.
Like everything Tejano does, there's somebody else in the temple that can do it better.
Right.
Like, oh, Powerhouse, Cage. Oh,
yeah.
Like babyface Mexican guy that everyone loves. Phoenix, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, if I gotta cut someone, let's cut. And you know what? Going under the assumption that he does not die in season 3, I'm gonna cut Cortez Castro.
Okay.
To make room for. I'm trying to remember his name. Ray Lapon.
Oh, didn't he retire recently, or is he still competing?
Did he? Don't even tell me.
I feel like he did. I don't want to like derail your answer. I thought he put feelers out that he was retiring. I don't know if he committed to that or not. Maybe somebody in chat could help us.
It doesn't look like it.
Wow. Okay. Well, then I guess your answer stands. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure because I know there was like I
I mean,
thought he
he
put
is
some
a
effort.
little bit on the older side. He's 38, but still, like, I feel like he has so much left to give, and Lucha is like the best place possible for him.
Yeah, I mean, dude, Mill's in his 40s. Like Ray LaPon at
Yeah.
38. Like with that schedule too, it would be a new lease on life for the guy.
All
So
right.
yeah,
So then, who did I just cut? I don't. Oh, Cortez.
Cortez.
Let's cut Joey Ryan too. Let's say they both get killed in some kind of an event involving the cops, and we'll cut him for Jimmy Havoc.
Okay, sweet. I like that.
So we're getting Jimmy Havoc in Lucha Underground. And then let's see. I want to do one more because I have someone else in mind. Let's you know what? Based on the constant injuries and the outside of the ring issues that have arisen over the last year or so, I'm going to cut Evilise, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'm replacing her with Taylor Hendricks.
Oh, yes, dude. What a catch that would be. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
So that would be my. That's four people. I'm cutting Tejano, Cortez Castro, Joey Ryan, and Evilise, and I'm bringing in Emma Raylapon, Jimmy Havoc, who I guess we could say is related to Son of.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Taylor Hendricks. So that would be mine.
All right. Next question.
All right. Next question from Rotten Butter, and this is specifically for you, John.
Ooh.
Would you rather fuck Johnny Mundo or be fucked by Johnny Mundo?
See, it's so difficult, right? Because if you fuck Johnny Mundo, you know that you're still inadequate. So do you deserve to look at him during? I don't think so. I don't think I could make that eye contact. I don't think I've really earned that. But being fucked by Johnny Mundo, he would be the alpha in that situation. I've always regarded myself in my most private moments as a beta bitch. So it would probably work out better for me that way. So yeah, I think really weighing everything, I think being fucked by Johnny Mundo would definitely be preferable. Because I mean, one, I could gaze at those abs, and two, like he can choose to look at me, and if he does, I'll feel acknowledged. So yeah, I think given my insecurities and everything else, like yeah, that's definitely the better option. Jesus Christ, these questions. All right, what's Ron Butter's fourth and final question?
That
'Cause
was
only the third, right?
that
Oh,
was
that
the
was.
fourth and final
Well,
question.
way to punctuate your questions this month, Rotten Butter. Jesus.
All right, we have four questions from Hypothesis. First one up: should WWE use option C, where the cruiserweight champion can relinquish the title for a shot at the world title? I'll take this immediately. No, I don't think that would work because the cruiserweights are persistently portrayed as lesser.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, bro. Like, if the cruiserweight division had credibility, I would agree with Hypothesis because I think that would give us what we wanted, and that's like cruiserweights mixing it up with heavyweights. But as it stands, like nobody could even buy it. And to be honest, like with the low point that they're at, you know they'd immediately be besieged as being TNA ripoffs. So yeah, I don't know. I have to agree with you in your sentiments.
All right. Second question from Hypothesis: if Rey Mysterio does return to WWE, should
Right.
he join the cruiserweight division?
You know, honestly, yeah. Yeah, like why not? I think he's a legend. I think a guy of his presence could really give the cruiserweight division that aforementioned credibility that it's lacking. And I think he could really, again, if you were a smart wrestling company, which I'm not saying WWE is, put somebody over. He could work an extended program with a cruiserweight. Hell, it could even be the premier athlete like Tony Nese, and he could be like, "Oh, Ray, you know, you're so old and beaten down. I'm what the division of the future looks like. Like, I'm emblematic of that." You could do the whole old school versus new school thing, really get a guy like Nese over, who I think is an incredible upside. Or hell, you could even have him feud with Drew Gulak. I know we've got some Drew Gulak fans in here. I'm one of them. I think his no fly zone shit's fucking hilarious. And I think, you know, you could have Ray as like I won't say the originator of the Fly Zone, but, like a legend of it. You know what I mean? Because he does the Lucha Libre and all that stuff. And he could hate Rey Mysterio because he's emblematic of everything that Drew Gulak has fought so hard against. So, yeah, like a Nice or a Gulak, I think Rey could make a lot of guys. I mean, if Neville's still going to be in the division, which according to the events from 205 Live, which I only keep up with via YouTube clips, before anybody gets excited that I'm watching the show, I'm not. I'm only doing the recaps. Neville and Rey, they could hype that up for like a cruiserweight like dream match at WrestleMania, presumably for the title. Hell, even Enzo, say what you will about Enzo, but the guy's getting heat right now. The guy really is working the mic well as a heel. He's a good trash talker as champion. So Rey coming in and kicking his ass, and then you get this dream feud of like Neville and Rey. I think Rey could bring a lot to the cruiserweight division. So yeah, and honestly, I always hated him against heavyweights anyway. If I'm honest, I think he's at his best when he's working in his own division. So hell yes. What about you, dude? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that that's the best way to go. Do I think they would do it? Probably not, because we've got to remember he was a world champion, which nobody else in the current cruiserweight division can say. And although, I mean, to be fair, when he was world champion, they made commentary stop referring to it as the world heavyweight championship for that very reason. But still, former world champion, I don't think they'd stick him in the cruiserweight division. I think he'd be in feuds probably for like the Intercontinental title, if I had to guess.
Right.
So, third question from Hypothesis. Do you think that Katrina taking over the temple between seasons 1 and 2 was actually a part of Vasquez's plans?
I'm
going to say no. I'm going to just come out and say I don't think so, because I don't think she was even in contact with Vasquez during that time. I think that was all Katrina just using a power play, knowing that all of her guys held the championships that really mattered, and even going as far as to negotiate a deal with King Cuerno to get somebody else who's in her pocket with the only other title that she didn't already have possession of.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, bro. First of all, if Lucha Underground wanted us to know something, they'd let us know it. Like, there can be mysteries, but it's already got to accompany things that we already know. You can dangle the carrot in front of us at least, and they never did that. Second of all, with the meeting that they did have, I'm not saying it was a first-time meeting, but they kind of treated it as such at the same time, because there was no formality in that sense until the whole mother reveal and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't think it was a part of any plan, because if it was, I think Lucha Underground would have at least told us a little bit in a way that yeah, this is a plan going on. So I agree with you completely.
All right, man. Well, fourth and final question from Hypothesis. With Sawyer Fulton being in WWE 2K18, do you think he'll return to Sanity? And again, I say no.
I say no to. I wish I knew how these games were produced, because I mean I do get them and I do enjoy them, but I'm curious how soon they begin scans and voice work and all that stuff, because Sawyer Fulton, that must have been very early in the year, and the whole hubbub, I even touched on it in our NXT review, I think it was, about Andrade being excluded, and now it's coming out that he asked not to be in the game, which I find highly suspect, but I'll believe it for now since that's the only thing coming out about it. So no, I don't think it's going to be a return to sanity, because they probably did those scans hella early when he was still in a relevant context with sanity, but I don't think that's an indication of a return whatsoever. So
yeah. All right, for our next set of questions, we got 3 from Iconic Player 1. First question's for both of us, and he said, how much must I sacrifice for a face reveal?
Your soul. No, not that much. I don't know. I've never really seen the big deal with face reveals. Anybody that's followed me from past, you already know what I look like, and spoiler alert, it's sexy as hell. Not as sexy as Adam Cole though, which I must remind myself every day. I don't know, man. I never really put a price on that. I never really, and I'm assuming that you kind of feel the same way. I never thought
I was even going to say, let's make a game out of this. If you guys can start proselytizing and evangelizing people, trying to get everyone on the TWitWoW bandwagon, when we hit 10K subs, we'll do a face reveal.
There you go. 10 seems like a nice ceiling where I'd be secure enough in my person to do that. So I could commit to that. Yeah, it's fine with me. Next question from Iconic Player 1.
But we will be paying attention, so no buying subscribers for us.
Exactly. We don't want a Silicon Valley on our asses. James is like, we want dick. Never. Never.
Right. All right. So, second question from Iconic Player One. If the Z Fighters were given contracts with WWE, who goes to what brand and who feuds with who?
Well, Goku obviously goes to Raw to feud with Brock Lesnar. As much as I love Vegeta, like, we've got to be realistic. Goku's always been stronger, so him and Brock is more the money match. Uh, Vegeta to me fits more with SmackDown Live. No, we're talking about Z Fighters.
Gohan definitely goes to SmackDown Live as well.
Yeah, Gohan is SmackDown Live as well. He could actually even be the babyface champion, like after he feuds with like a Jinder or somebody, or he can even have like a mega face feud with Shinsuke, and I could buy that. And then maybe Vegeta would be like the top heel. Krillin can go to NXT to die to just job and elevate other people.
Yamcha obviously going to NXT.
Yeah, in fact, him and Krillin can even be a tag team so that we kind of save space. I think TN could actually have an impressive NXT run. I always felt like he was underrated. Same with Piccolo.
Let's put TN on SmackDown and see what they can get out of him.
Yeah, there you go. Piccolo. I like Piccolo. That's why I'm waffling.
Piccolo on Raw.
All right. Yeah, we'll do him on Raw. Are we forgetting anybody important?
Trunks? Does he count?
Well, what iteration of Trunks? Because I'd be more interested in signing future Trunks. Although, if you get Kid Trunks,
I know the answer to this shit. Jesus Christ!
We got
anime in like 20 years.
Well, no, I mean, look, you got to think about it from a business perspective, right? I see a lot of money in future Trunks. I think he's got a great look. Like, with his look, he could feud with Roman Reigns and, of course, do the job because we have to make Roman look strong. But I think if we do Kid Trunks, right, if we get Goten with him, we get a fusion performer. And now that could be money at pay-per-views. That could be like the same kind of attraction quality that Brock currently does.
Yeah, but Sheamus and Cesaro have already been doing the fusion dance already.
Yeah, fusion dance without an actual completed fusion. It's like tickling my balls, but I'm not allowed to release. This is the release, man. This is the good shit. But I think I'd still go Future Trunks, because I think it'd be, hell, if he's Future Trunks and he has a time machine, he'll never do the job to Roman, and people will love him for it. He'll be their new god. So, yeah, I think I'll go Future Trunks on Raw. And you know what? I think I'm going to stop there. I think I'm good for right now. Unless you have anybody you want to add, we can move on with this.
No, that's fitting. That's a good way to stop. Third and final question from Iconic Player One is just for you, John. What is the most heartbreaking anime betrayal?
Heartbreaking anime betrayal? God, I don't really know if I've watched many animes with such like a betrayal in them. Because I'm trying to think. My Hero Academia really hasn't had any. Attack on Titan, well, that did have one, but I wouldn't even really call that heartbreaking. Death Note, you can't say it was heartbreaking necessarily, because, you know, Light has betrayed me. I'm trying to be careful about that because this guy over here hasn't finished yet, but I know he will eventually.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in a few years.
Yeah, I'm content talking about it when you're like 30, 33.
It's not that far away, dude.
Well, that's precisely my point. I think that's also how long it may take you to finish it. Code Geass, no. Yeah, you know what? Just to be kind of cheeky about it, the most heartbreaking betrayal when Vegeta betrayed Nappa. Yeah, I just threw him up in there, blasted him to bits, and that was it. That was freaking great. So that'll be my pick. And it's not even because I don't watch a lot of anime. Clearly, you guys know that I do. It's just I don't think I've watched enough anime with those kinds of betrayals because apparently I'm not scummy enough, which is a really odd realization for me. God damn, what am I doing with my life? Anyway, what's our next question?
Okay, next question. We have a group of 3 from Thomas Oliver, a new YouTube user. And if you're actually Tommy Oliver, I just want to say I'm a big fan, and the Dragon Zord was the greatest of all time.
Yeah, there you go. All right, what are his questions?
First question, what would Vibara's story be?
Oh, you're better at this shit than me. I'll have you go first on this, bruh.
I mean, I feel like you don't really have... There's not really much room to get creative with this just because he's a snake man. So, I mean, he got bit by a venomous snake while falling into a vat of nuclear waste.
You know, the delivery on that answer, I think, is what made it so fucking good. It's like that exasperated, like, I've got to have a comic by this deadline, and the origin's always hard, so I'll just merge Peter Parker with some bullshit, and yeah, we'll send it to print. But no, that works. I mean, I can't even really think of anything for an origin story. Who knows? Maybe he originally was. I mean, they said when reptiles roam the earth, that's where they're from. So maybe he wasn't even a mortal man. Maybe like he was just some other creature entirely. Cobra Moon happened upon the creature, and maybe her old kingdom that she used to rule had very cutting edge scientists or whatever doing sick shit, merging and like synthesizing cavemen with animal DNA, and then you get fucking Vibora. I don't know. I've never been good with this kind of stuff, but I mean, if it's from when reptiles roam the earth, maybe you do go like prehistoric, like way back, and you do kind of an evolutionary thing, maybe merged with some like fanatical science like you'd see in Secret of Nim or some shit. So yeah, that's gonna be my answer to that. What's our next question from Mr. Oliver here?
All right, our next question from the original Green Ranger and then White Ranger, etc., is let's see here. Do you think Mill and Matanza could run the temple, become a two-man power trip, or maybe even switch managers where Matanza gets Katrina and Mill gets Dario Cueto?
I don't think that's happening. But do I think there could be a two-man power trip? Hell the fuck yes. And if that ever happens, that is probably the gravest threat to Worldwide Underground that you could conceive. So if that happens, I am tweeting the shit out of Taya and Mundo, begging them to let me in on their game plan or letting me be a part of the discussion, because nobody will survive if those two ever join forces. I could see that happening, even if it's begrudgingly, but switching managers, I think that's getting a little bit out there. What about you, Ashton? What do you envision? Could these two come together and run the temple?
Yeah, man, I think they could definitely form the two-man power trip as long as their respective managers have similar goals. And I also think that if they were ever going to switch managers, it would be in that situation. Maybe like a switcheroo would happen in like, say, maybe somehow Katrina ends up with the key and Cueto ends up with the rock. Then you would almost be like, oh, well, those are like the items that control these guys, these monsters. So maybe they would just follow, rather than following the person, they follow their token. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
So yeah, it could be interesting. And I mean, since we don't necessarily need Katrina and Dario to be in on this, maybe one of them steals the opposing token from the other person. So maybe Katrina gets her hands on the key that controls Matanza, and that allows her to control both Matanza and Mill.
Ooh, that would be an interesting development for sure.
That would be insane. Yeah, absolutely. That would be a lot of fun. I like that question. Third and final question from Mr. Dino Thunder Black Ranger himself, Thomas Oliver. With Ray possibly leaving, what other legends, and then he specifies veterans, would you bring into the temple? I like this question. Again, I really like the veterans that they've already brought in. Like, I love that they've been using Paul London. I like that they have Vampiro around. I like that they used Chavo for a while. Who else would you want to bring in with Mysterio leaving, John?
You know, it's hard because I don't even know what legends would work, especially with Lucha Underground's aesthetic. I'm not even saying they'd have to be a part of cinematics or anything, because clearly they'd be more like a Dr. Wagner, where they compete either on a really special episode or like an Ultima Lucha. Trying to think, because I've really grown to appreciate Dr. Wagner. That's been a delight.
Oh, dude, I want to see Psychosis. Yes.
Yeah, that could work.
And of course La Parka playing his chair guitar.
Is Super Crazy still working? Because
probably, I think he is. It wouldn't surprise me. Let me look it up. Super Crazy, and I'll tell you here in a second. It does say he's a wrestler. It doesn't say former wrestler, and it looks like he is maybe still available for bookings, although it looks like he hasn't done anything since 2015 or so.
How old is he currently? He's got to be 40-something, right?
Yeah, he is 43, so still not that old.
Not bad. Yeah, I'm gonna say I'm only gonna give one because I'm horrible with like legend type questions. But yeah, I'd say Super Crazy. I think he'd have a lot to give, and I like really
that. Yeah, I definitely think that. You know who I would bring in? And it's a CMLL guy, so maybe AAA wouldn't be having it, but I would love to bring in Marco Corleone, formerly known as Mark Jindrak from CMLL.
Oh, yeah, I like that answer. That's an inspired answer right there.
I mean, his last name is Corleone. He could literally be the Lord and no one would blink an eye. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's perfect. Isn't like the Godfather from the Godfather movies Don Corleone?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, I mean, come on. It's too good to not happen, but it's not going to happen because CMLL, AAA, all that crap. But thank you for the questions, Thomas Oliver, and thank you more importantly for your YouTube name, literally just bringing back all the Power Rangers memories. So up next, we have 4 questions from Salvador R. Salcido. First question is for both of us. What are your thoughts on Rick and Morty season 3, and what's been your favorite episode so far?
I've fucking loved this season. I was a little worried about it, to be honest, because it took so long to like leave the ground. Like we were all waiting for a premiere date, and I read an article like, "Oh, we're just like toiling to write these episodes. Like we want to get it exactly right." If this is their idea of perfectionism, please keep doing it, because this is a reminder that the best things are worth waiting for. And while there have been many standouts, and I think I know the answer Ashton's going to say, but I'm not going to show my hand too early. I want to see if I know him as well as I think I do. But he already knows what I'm going to say. Pickle fucking Rick. I thought that episode was amazing. Dude, I've told you, and I stand by it. I think that was some of the best animation I've ever seen in this show.
Dude, absolutely. With the pickle Rick and the dead rat exoskeleton taking on all those guards at that facility. Yeah.
Yeah, like the fight scenes, the pickle
the aesthetic, cockroach fight scene. Yes.
Yeah, like so much good animation, and like as always with Rick and Morty, the commentary they add about the family issues and those final few minutes with Beth and Rick totally disregarding the kids in the car, and you see
I liked her. I don't know what you mean. Let's go back.
Hey, you want to get a bite to eat? Yeah, sure. We'll just drop the kids off. Where do you want to go? This place or that place? Either one. And like it's just so good. But again, Ashton, I think I know what episode you're going to pick, but let's see. Which one are you going to say?
Before I say it, I'm curious what episode you think I'm going to pick.
Well, if our conversations about Rick and Morty per episode are any indication, I thought you were going to say Morty's Mind Blowers, because you seem to really love that one.
I did enjoy that episode, but no, my favorite episode by far has been the Rick Lantis mix-up. Season 3, episode 7, the entire episode on the Citadel has just blown my mind. Like, we say Morty's Mind Blowers, the Rick Lantis mix-up was an Ashton Mind Blower. That episode legit.
Yeah, okay. I agree that episode was amazing. I'm only surprised because like when we talked about Morty's Mind Blowers, you seemed very positive on that one. So I'm like, okay, that has to be his favorite.
I really did enjoy that episode, but it felt very self-contained, and it didn't really play that much into like the greater story of the Rick and Morty multiverse as much as the one that I'm talking about, the Rick.
Yeah.
Like when an episode can go 99% of the episode existing somewhere that our main heroes aren't, and it works, and it has greater implications for the overall overarching multiverse, is just unbelievable. Like, we saw the Rick and Morty that we're familiar with, C-137 Rick and whatever the Morty is that he's with at the time. We saw them for the first 30 seconds, minute or so of the episode, and in the post-credits scene. And that's it. It was the entire rest of the episode took place on the Citadel. We learned what life was like for all of the Ricks and Mortys that lived on the Citadel. We learned that evil Morty has much darker and much bigger plans than we ever expected. And it linked back to season 1, episode, I want to say 8 or 10 or something like that. The one that was the other one that had Evil Morty in it. I think it was episode 10. Yeah, Close Rick Counters of the Rick Kind. The first episode that featured Evil Morty. And like, it made me go back and watch that episode. And that is now my favorite episode of Rick and Morty of all time. So those are like 2 of my top 2 or 3 episodes of Rick and Morty now.
I think what I love about that episode, it really shows the thoughtfulness of Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon, because I even read an article somewhere. Actually, no, I saw a clip from them directly, Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon, where they're like, we probably spent more time in that writer's room thinking about what we were going to do with Evil Morty than we were thinking about actual Rick and Morty episodes. So like, Evil Morty has a huge part to play in what you called the Rick and Morty multiverse, and we saw that in the Rick Lantis episode. And I'm very curious if we're going to see that this Sunday in the finale, which we may not, given the little preview that we got, but that remains to be seen. But even if not, you have to imagine season 4 or 5 all the way to season 100. Rick and Morty, 100 years. He's going to have huge impacts for seasons to come, even if we don't touch on it again in the finale most immediately. And yeah, I definitely agree with everything you said about that episode. It was so well done, especially because, with Rick destroying the Galactic Federation, you had to think a fallout was coming, and you really got to see what that fallout was. And I love the cop element with like the hardened Morty and this Rick that's just, on the case, stuff like that. I thought that was a great like B plot. Because most shows, I always feel like either the B plot's like weaker or stronger. There's never really even keel, but I think Rick and Morty, like both their plots are strong. And yeah, definitely a great outing for the show. So you're Rick Lantis, I'm Pickle Rick. Next
Pickle Rick! I love it. Yeah, absolutely. All right, man, let's move on. Our next question from Sal was, did either of you get to go on the Rickmobile? I couldn't because I had to work. And I don't even know what the Rickmobile is, John, so I'm just going to let you take this, bro.
I don't even know what the Rickmobile is either. So, present Sal, unfortunately, we're just going to have to say no, mainly because we're ignorant. And if it makes you feel better, we're not proud of our ignorance. So, next question from Sal.
All right, next question from Sal. Third question from Sal. Have you guys heard Justin Roiland call Joel Osteen's church in character as Rick? It's the greatest thing ever. I have. I loved it. I didn't even watch that entire episode of the H3 podcast because it's like 5.5 hours long. It is on John and my to-do list, but I did find an isolated clip of that, and yes, it was amazing. I freaking love Justin Roiland. I could listen to that dude talk and do his ridiculous voices and give Justin Roiland just a 30-minute prank call show that airs weekly, because you don't even need a script for that. Just give him a list of places that you can crank call and let him do it in different voices, and I would watch that every single week. It would be amazing. It would have the lowest development budget ever. It would be just Justin Roiland sitting in his underwear in his freaking living room or in his man cave, just calling random places. And any money that you would sink into that show would just be lawyer fees, legal fees. That would be it. That would be the only expense, and it would be amazing. So yeah, John, how about you?
First of all, can I just say to your pitch, that seems like a show tailor-made for Adult Swim. If they can't even give them a full 30 minutes, that seems like a perfect 15-minute pocket kind of show, like a Robot Chicken or whatever, that just fits right in with their aesthetic and their
or even the occasional bumper, because I know they do these weird 2, 3, 4, 5-minute bumpers in between shows, and that would be perfect for that too.
Yeah, as far as the other question, no, I have not, unfortunately. I've seen it on the internet, but I guess I didn't watch it because I felt like at some point you and I would watch it together, and I know that it is part of that big 5-hour podcast, but now that I know you've watched it, I might as well find the isolated clip myself sometime soon and watch that so that we're on equal footing, because that does sound amazing, and I don't really care for Joel Osteen, so yeah, to know that his church got heckled that way just sounds like a great freaking time. So I'll definitely have to search that out. Next question from Sal.
Fourth and final question from Sal is just for you, John. He wants you to say the slogan for his local wrestling promotion in the style of the TWitWoW intro. And I'm going to actually, rather than saying it out loud, I'm just going to paste the slogan in the Google.
Oh, there's no need, because I already wrote it on Notepad because it was part of the original question. But when I sent it to you, I wanted to curtail it because of length. So I made sure to copy that portion in here. Welcome to New Era Wrestling, the best of the best in the entire Southwest. Nailed it. You know what's crazy? I didn't even tell you this, Ashton. I've actually been doing more voiceover work lately. A friend of mine did this. Well, he's going to be doing this film, and I did this voiceover work to be this guy on a phone call, and then I did other voiceover work because he was having an Overwatch matchup with a friend of his, and I did ring announcer introductions. So this voice is getting pimped out, getting that work.
I didn't even know about that. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm finally moving up in the world. I apparently, as far as the film goes, I'm on their IMDb page. My last name is spelled wrong because, people just always forget that second N, but whatever. But yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. And I'm glad I got to do that for you, Sal. I hope it was to your liking because I love your face. But now we can move on to our next batch of questions.
All right. Our next batch of questions are from S Blue.
Super Blue. I
Oh,
abbreviated it
oh.
to fit.
Damn it, John, you really don't need to do that. We have like 3 tabs or 4 tabs worth of space. And you're just like, oh, I don't know, margins in Google Sheets. So let's.
Hey, I'm using Open Office now, and don't fucking tell me about space, because there's very little of it to make it work. I tried to make it easier on you, man.
Hey, man, I'm telling you, you got to work with the margins. That's all it is.
Yeah, all right. Well, anyway, first question from Super Blue was what, my friend?
First question from Super Blue was, cut a promo on 9/11. If that's going too far, do it on 9/11 conspiracy theories. I don't have a problem with the promo on 9/11. Shit, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, here's the thing, not necessarily a promo, but I've got to get the dick comment out of the way first. When I was recording these questions, and I kind of blame Ashton for this, I feel like you infected me. And I'm like typing the date over and over, 9/11, and then I get that question about 9/11. I keep thinking about that 9/11 episode of South Park where Cartman's just like, I just want to know what happened on 9/11. And I'm just like, oh God. And then of course he ends up blaming Kyle at the school presentation. So who caused 9/11? The Jews. And it's Kyle's face on the Twin Towers. And I'm just thinking about that the whole time, and I'm like, God damn it. But yeah, I mean, not so much a pro, I guess, but like, what do I even say? What do I even do? Like, because I feel like 9/11, yes, it was a terrible event. I'm not going to try and downplay it as anything other than that. But the reverberations of that event, I think, have been far, far worse. Like, when you think about the lives lost, both American and Middle Eastern, like, it's been a fucking travesty, and you want a promo, like, this was just an event that maybe could have had a quote-unquote noble cause. I don't even know if such a thing even exists in warfare. I don't know if it ever did. But you go and you use it to commit imperialist endeavors of seizing oil, of destroying cities, of wrecking lives, and you do it all under the guise of, oh, they fear our freedom. That's such a fucking abstraction. What do you even mean? Like, that's an abstract thing. I feel like in war you've got to deal with, and this is coming from me, the philosopher, right? Like, I deal in abstractions, but I think when we're talking about war, we have to deal with material, concrete things. Like, define freedom, motherfucker. What do you mean? Now, if you were honest and you said they fear us because of our energy reserves, like, that's more definable, right? I can work with that. But of course, definable things don't really sell a war. They don't really make it seem like a necessity. So we've got to say freedom, or we've got to liberate these people. Again, what do you mean by liberation? Installing a puppet dictator? You know, like, I'm not trying to kiss Saddam's ass or anybody, but, you know, they took him down and the whole thing seemed to fall apart. Why? Because there wasn't a plan in place. I don't think it was something chosen by the Iraqi people. So we just completely ruined their way of life. In fact, didn't they even say, like, we went in parts in the Middle East that were just completely incorrect because there were no WMDs in those areas? And I feel like the area that was responsible, I don't know if it was Saudi Arabia or Pakistan, because I will admit that I am very ignorant on the geopolitics of the situation, but we never even looked in those areas. And yeah, like, it's not so much a promo as much as it is like a somber sadness that this one event that was tragic, we took it, we just made it like, oh, this is an affront to our freedom, and nobody fucks with America and freedom and all that. And we ran with it, and we did all that shit, and we ruined so many lives that we're never going to be able to bring back. We ruined so many ways of life, so many countries, and for what? I mean, you know what, Ashton, even when we would, like, talk 9/11 stuff, the one thing that I think has stayed true between the men that we were then and the men we are now, and I still think you're absolutely right, you said, and I think it was a quote from somebody, war is a racket, and in 2017, that hasn't changed, because war is all about whose pockets are getting padded. And that's really what I think about 9/11. It was a tragedy, but what was more tragic was the opportunistic people that preyed on it for their own fucking endeavors, and so many lives got ruined for it, and fuck those people. Fuck George W. Bush that now he's rehabilitating his image. Oh, I'm painting now. Fuck you. Fuck you, and fuck everybody that supported your imperialist endeavors, you piece of shit. So there's your fucking promo. Do you have anything you want to add?
I mean, my whole thing that was always just like, how incompetent do you have to be to know that this shit is going to happen and still not take any precautions against it? And like, we've watched a movie before that was like, oh yeah, they had this many opportunities to stop 9/11 from happening and they just didn't do it. And you know, it's really, it's a matter of, I'm not even on the, oh, was it an inside job side anymore, just because I don't give enough of a shit to worry about that anymore. But I am on the side of, like, it's terrible that it happened and the lives lost were extremely unfortunate. But the amount of lives that we caused to be lost after 9/11 in return, and really innocent lives that didn't deserve to get caught up in all that bullshit, is the more unfortunate thing to me. Like,
yeah, for sure.
do you know what the body count was for 9/11? Like a couple thousand, probably.
Yeah, wasn't it like, no, again, I don't want to show my ignorance here, but I thought it was like 1,200 or something, or maybe like a little bit higher. But like, I know the war has gotten in what, it has to be like the 100,000s at least, and that might even be a conservative estimate. Like, so much life lost.
It says here that just under 3,000 people were killed.
Right.
For 9/11. And that includes 19 terrorists, or people that they've labeled terrorists.
Right.
That there were over 6,000 people that didn't die that were wounded. So under 10,000 Americans were hurt or killed. And how many tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, Middle Eastern people who did not have anything to do with 9/11 ended up getting killed for it?
Yeah, you know, Ash, it really brings to me like a similar point, like, because I know that one time you and I talked about the Israel-Palestine conflict, again, something that I'm not well versed in. And even when I gave my answer, because I'm more like on the Palestinian side, you brought up something very thoughtful. Well, what about Israeli children? What about people that really don't have like any hand in the historical conflict that caused this to exist in the first place? You know, like the newer generations of people that are so far removed from it. And I thought you were absolutely right. Same thing with this conflict. How many people were killed or massacred or whatever that like just had nothing to do with this, that have families like we do and friends like we do? And it fucking kills you. And if you dwell on it too much, like, you're just like, Jesus Christ, what are we doing? Like,
the answer is
really,
don't think about it, Morty.
And that's just it, right? Don't think about it, because I'll tell you, and not just with this, we might be having a repeat in North Korea. And I read a piece that a friend of mine wrote that I thought was great. Like, is North Korea an authoritarian state that should be stopped? Absolutely. But I do not trust the U.S. to be the one to do it. Why? Because North Korea is rich in certain minerals and certain resources. And you know, that's what the U.S. get. Trump openly said on Fox News, I think he talked about Iran, like, I'd love to go in there, take the oil, and we keep the oil for ourselves. Trump, of all people, say what you will about the man, but I actually give him credit. He actually said what war was really about in a single soundbite on Fox News. Ain't about patriotism or freedom or fighting the bad guy, another abstraction. That's exactly what it's about. Ooh, they have oil. We need oil. Let's take it. It's fucking disgusting. And you know what? I hope it was worth it. And of course, I say that sarcastically, but yeah, I hope it was worth all the lives that were lost on both sides, because it's a fucking shame. It really is. I'm depressed now. Let's move on to our next question.
All right, man. Our next question is actually a little more on the simple side, and it is why do we as fans keep watching crap like No Mercy and keep coming back for more?
Well, if my daddy James has taught me anything, it's because I have no self-respect. So it's probably because I have nowhere else to go, because who would want me? But then wait a minute, Lucha Underground's a thing. And really, to be fair, like, I only watch WWE because I feel like Ashton's done a better job phasing it out than I have, because I know anymore, and I don't want to speak for you, Ashton, but wouldn't it be a fair assessment to say that more often than not anymore, when Raw's on, like, maybe you'll have it on in the background, but you'll more be concentrated on football or something? Because I feel like that's been the trend.
Dude, I've gotten to the point that I only have Raw on because of my mom. Like, she wants to see Dean Ambrose, she wants to see Braun Strowman, she wants to see Elias Sampson, so we'll have Raw on for that. But any chance I get, I switch over to Monday Night Football. And I don't think I even watched SmackDown this past Tuesday. My mom wanted to watch something else from 8 to 9, and then we turned it on from 9 to 10, but I had it muted most of the time, so it didn't even really count.
Yeah, with me anymore, it's like I'll have it on, but it's almost like, and this is a term that's used in our household, I'll putter to it. And what I mean by that is I picked it up from my sister and her boyfriend. Like, when you putter to a show, you have it on as background noise while you're essentially doing other shit. So, like, I'll have Raw on, and maybe I'll go back and forth to it, mainly because I'm having a good time with those in the Discord, which you could too if you join the Discord, only $3. Check out our Patreon, please. So that, like, gives me an incentive to watch Raw, but I only watch Raw for the guys that I like, you know, Seth, Finn, I'm keeping an eye on Cesaro now because, again, I've watched his older matches and fuck what they are doing, or more importantly, not doing with that man is a fucking crime. But really, if we're talking about what we're actively invested in, like, I haven't been actively invested in WWE in so long. And I think the only reason I keep watching is that I'm not really watching. I'm doing something that makes it easier to go down, whether that's talking with friends or just doing other activities altogether. Like, and honestly, there may come a point where even like that stops and I'm just not watching it at all. And I'll just talk with people in the Discord about other shit or whatever, because with how good Lucha Underground's been and New Japan's been, like, WWE may be a thing of the past. Cause yeah, it's really just not doing it anymore. And,
yeah, if you guys want the easiest answer as to why we still cover WWE pay-per-views, go to our channel and look at the views on all of our videos, and then look at the views on our live reactions to WWE pay-per-views. The difference is night and day.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, because we do this podcast, and because I am that type of guy, because I do agree with Foster, it can't be that hard to stop watching wrestling, but I do, to a degree, like having my finger on the pulse. And I mean, hell, I still read GFW recaps, if you can believe it. Like, I don't watch the show, and I barely even watch YouTube clips, but I'll read like spoiler recaps, and I'm now knowing that Johnny Mundo, aka Johnny Impact, is on the show. I'll probably go and watch the stuff that he's doing and that Ty is doing in either isolated clips or even just their matches if I can find them. So for me, to put it my way, yes, Ashton's right about the coverage. Look at our view count for pay-per-views. But for me as an individual, it's more about the favorites than the brand. Like, I'll keep following Cesaro, Seth, etc. And in Global Force Wrestling, like, I'll look at Taya and I'll look at Mundo. But other than that, the brands, I've gotten to a point where I've, rejected. So yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you just look at like our view counts this year, like if you just look at the year, like if you just look at the year of 2017, we get pretty average, like I would say like 500, maybe 600, 700 views regularly. But there are huge spikes every single time a WWE pay-per-view happens and we cover it. Like, it's Royal Rumble, it's, the WrestleMania spike was pretty big. Extreme Rules, and then I think the next biggest one was in June, which, do you remember what the June pay-per-view was? I think that was Extreme Rules, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe it was Extreme Rules, you're right.
Yeah, so that's really what it comes down to, is we use our live reactions to WWE pay-per-views as a way to try and draw more people into the channel, because otherwise, if we weren't really interested in growing the channel at all, we would pretty much only cover what we enjoy, and that would pretty much just be Lucha Underground and New Japan, and maybe like PWG, but even then, like, PWG doesn't really get any kind of views either, so why even bother? So, like, WWE live reactions to pay-per-views is what we use to try and grow the channel, try and bring in new people, try and draw some attention to what we're doing over here. And if it works, that's cool, and if not, then that's fine too. But that's kind of our philosophy, because even if you just look at the flat view numbers, like the show that we just watched, No Mercy, it was a horrible show, but we also have 2,700 views on that live reaction. And then, like, the one before that, what was the pay-per-view before that? SummerSlam, right?
Right.
Yeah, so SummerSlam was, if I remember correctly, another pretty freaking mediocre show, right? Like, it wasn't good, and yet live reaction is over 2,000 views. Even our NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3 live reaction is under 1,000 views. But then when you go back to the pay-per-view before SummerSlam, which I don't even remember how far we're going back at this point. I feel like we're kind of twiddling our thumbs at this point. But, like, the idea is it gets a ton of views, and the point is to try and bring people to the channel. Battleground, there it is, July 23rd. Battleground, 2,500 views. So, yeah, like, WWE pay-per-view live reactions get views like nothing else does.
Right.
Great Balls of Fire, 2,700 views. It's consistent, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what's our next question?
Next question from Super Blue. Why are millennials blamed for everything?
Because the people that blame millennials, which is mainly the older generation, I'm not going to say they don't have the capacity for critical analysis because I believe they do. I just believe that they're too apathetic to use it. They want the easiest thing that doesn't cause them to look inward and maybe blame themselves and the policies that they voted for or enacted, you know, in their households and in their cities and stuff like that, that would have widespread effects on us today. So of course they have to blame us because us being, or, you know, older people being responsible for something, that's absurd. I think it's lazy. I think it's mean-spirited. I know a lot of friends, I'm sure you know, people yourself, Ashton, that are having, you know, housing crises. Of course, student debt has always been a crisis. And they want to say, oh, these millennials aren't working hard enough. No, the system's fucking broken. I don't care how much work you put into it. When it's broke, it's fucking broke. All right. And we need to make some change. But again, that would require thoughtful discourse, critical analysis, looking at the system, looking at past policies, you know, looking at social conditions. But that requires work. And I'm not saying it's work, again, that they're incapable of, because I don't want to be that insulting, but I think it's work that they're not ready to commit to. And that's probably even more sad, because being incapable, I think, isn't as bad as being apathetic. You know, and that really is what disgusts me. So they take the easier route. That's my answer to that.
I think this is another one of those situations where I'm just a little more on the compassionate side about the situation. I'm going to say it's really more like a majority of the population, regardless of age, regardless of generation, regardless of any of that stuff. A majority of the population doesn't go out of their way to research economical issues. But if you really do your research, you realize that today's generation, regardless of age, is the most overworked, underpaid generation of all time.
Yeah.
So I think it's more a matter of, well, you know, if you can't get a job at McDonald's and support your family, then you're just lazy. But at the end of the day, someone with a job at McDonald's wouldn't be able to support their family in most states.
Right. Well, I feel like you and I are essentially, because I know you said like you're going to be the more compassionate one. I don't really see what I said that was so cold or so bad, because I said it's not that they're not capable.
Well, no, but like you just said, like you just basically openly said like they refuse to think about things, you know?
Well, no, I do think that's partially true though, because I think they're bogged down in this idea of, oh, like America's great and we've got these people that just want participation trophies. Like I don't think that goes deep enough. I think they take very superficial answers at face value, because I feel like it's almost a cognitive dissonance kind of thing. Because where they grew up, they feel like that's superior and they're like, oh, what's happening to our values? But they never stop to think, well, could our values and could the things that we have done in our lifetime have caused this? And, you know, like that's kind of my problem, because I think it needs that accountability needs to be there. Like, you know, and that's really where I'm coming from with it. So, you know, sorry if that is cold or makes me a piece of shit, but that's just how I feel. So you still there, bud?
Yeah, let's move on to our next question. LIJ versus Worldwide Underground in a Survivor Series match. Who wins and how would the eliminations play out?
I would say that, oh God, because LIJ we have Naito, we have Evil, Hiromu Takahashi, Bushi, and am I forgetting anybody? I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. Sonata, right. And then with Johnny Mundo, of course, we have, and I will call him his name this one time because he'd be on the team. Ricky, shut the fuck. You know what? Now I'm not going to do it. Ricky Mandel. You ruined
Ricky
it.
Mundo.
No, you ruined it. You got all excited. No, you ruined it. I was going to do it, and then you ruined it by being you. So, Ricky Mandel, Taya.
Ricky Mundo.
Shut the fuck up. Ricky Mandel, Taya. You know what? No, you know what? Just for that, we'll shelf PJ Black too. We don't need him. Jack Evans, PJ Black, Taya, Mundo, and Mandel.
Are you gonna bench PJ Black for Marty since he was an honorary member in this last match?
Fuck, I'll bench Mandel for Marty. But no, that is Worldwide Underground with Benji at ringside, I guess.
Does that mean we get Daryl Takahashi at ringside too?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's only fair. You know, stuffed cat. I mean, that's definitely more competent than Ricky Mandel. So, I'd say Bushi gets eliminated first. I'm going to say by Jack Evans. Ricky Mandel gets eliminated by Sonata. Then I'm going to say Taya gets eliminated by Evil. PJ Black gets eliminated by Naito. So that would leave us with Jack Evans, Taya, and Mundo. And LIJ would still have Hiramu, Evil, Sonata, and Naito. So Sonata would be eliminated by Mundo. Hiramu would be eliminated by Jack Evans. Evil would eliminate Taya. Naito would eliminate Evans. You'd have Mundo would eliminate Evil. And you know what? If I'm being objective, I may have to say that Naito would beat Mundo here. Because I adore Mundo, but I think Naito's on the up and up, and I'm dreading that Mundo's getting ready for a cooldown period with Ultima Lucha Trace. I still think he's one of the best wrestlers in the world, but being one of the best wrestlers in the world doesn't mean that you're going to beat everybody you come across every night. So I'll give LIJ their props. I think Naito will win because I think overall he has the better team, and I think matches like that are a war of attrition. So if you've got the better team, you're going to win out. So I think Mundo doing the bulk of the work at the very end, that would allow Naito to get that final fall. So I'll give the win to LIJ, which actually may surprise some people, but there you go. What about you?
So I might have missed it. Who did you have eliminating Mundo then?
Naito. It comes down to Naito and Mundo, and Naito eliminates him to win it. So
all right, that's fair. I mean, obviously the first two eliminations are going to be Ricky Mundo and Bushi, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then after that, I'm going to say that Hiramu Takahashi gets eliminated by PJ Black, and then Taya gets eliminated by Sonata because he does not care whatsoever who he beats up. And then let's say I think Sonata, Evil, and Naito as like a team would find a way to get rid of Jack Evans, and then it would just come down to Johnny and PJ versus those three guys. And with the advantage, I think they would at least get like a 2-0 or maybe even 3-0 victory over the World Underground.
All right, fair enough. Let's move on to our next question.
All right, next question is, I believe, the first of 4 questions from Alonzo, aka H the Skylord. The first question, is the Undisputed Era a good enough name for Adam Cole's stable?
I mean, personally, I would have called it just Adam Cole and Friends, because it really is all about Adam Cole. But Undisputed Era works. I mean, I guess that's okay. What about you? Do you think it's good enough?
I mean, I'm not really 100% sure why they named it that, but it sounds cool enough that I don't see why it would be not good enough. I think it sounds pretty cool, man. I dig it. And like you could even like you use like the abbreviation TDU or TDE, and I like that. Or TUE. God. Oh no, that's Tuesday. See, now I don't like it anymore.
Yeah, wow, you really fumbled the ball there, man. God damn. But no, Undisputed Era, I think it's the type of name that grows.
You know what I think would be even better than the Undisputed Era is if you just call the faction Undisputed. Like, just call them Undisputed.
Yeah, one-word titles always work. Like Evolution, So, yeah.
Nexus.
Shield. Yeah.
Legacy. Yeah, I love that. Just call them Undisputed, man.
Yeah, I can dig that, man. All right, so moving on to Alonzo's second question. What do we got?
The second question from Ace the Skylord. Do you think the problem of NXT only being must-see before a takeover will ever change? I don't know. I think writing. I think if they maybe get a new writing team, it might, but before then, I'm not expecting it to.
I should qualify this, by the way, because I have the document open as well, because I knew I had to adjust some of these questions so that they'd fit and look nice when you put them into the greater Google Doc. That he said, like, do you think it could ever change, like, if the writing, if the writing changes? So, like, if the writing doesn't change, do you see it still being a problem? Or do you think that when the roster deepens, could that solve the problem? And my thing is, I do think it comes back to writing. I think WWE's in a period right now where they've had one of their most talented rosters, but the writing just isn't there. And NXT, while it's still the best thing I think that WWE produces, because SmackDown just went way down, unfortunately, in the last few months, I don't think the writing is always exemplary. But they've got great talent there too, right? So I definitely think as long as the writing is the way it is, NXT is only going to be must-see before TakeOver, because that was this whole question. Like, why is it always must-see when it's 4 weeks before TakeOver, and do you see it like ever changing, and I don't see it ever changing like you until the writing changes. I don't care who they add to their roster. You know, the writing's got to be there, and it just isn't.
Well, and really, I don't think it's even fair to say, like, oh, when the roster deepens, like, how deep does this roster need to be? I think it's already really freaking deep, especially the men's singles main event roster.
Yeah, and I would agree with you.
That's crazy deep, dude. Like, it makes no sense. I don't understand how much deeper it needs to be. That's such a good roster.
Absolutely. So I think that answers the question sufficiently. So what's our next question from Ace the Skylord?
Well, our next question from Ace the Skylord is specifically on Johnny Scumbag rant on the Patriots, buddy.
Oh my God, the fucking Patriots. Tom Brady's the greatest ever. Now I know what's gonna happen here because I'm not stupid, right? I know I'm gonna rant, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, John, great rant, but the Falcons, though, yeah, it happened, okay." But the fucking Patriots, this fucking dickbag Tom Brady. Oh, we just go out there. We love the game. Oh yeah, Deflate Gate and Spygate and all these other gates. I mean, and Bill Belichick, who really, I look at him and every time I'm like, bruh, you're the coach of a fucking dynasty, and you always look like a goddamn sourpuss. Like, honestly, he always looks like he's about to like stroke on the field or like somebody's relative just died. Like, why are you so fucking miserable, bruh? Whatever is up your ass, kindly dislodge it for everybody else, okay? Because you have no right to be miserable with all the teams that, like, you've screwed over and you've been like, okay, you know what I care about? Winning. Yeah, I do care about winning. You know what else I care about? Money. Now go out there and make me some. Like, I don't know. You strike me as a fucking dick. Anybody that can have the success that you've had and still have that sourpuss, like, I don't know if you call it a resting bitch face or whatever. I don't know. That's a guy that I just don't like the cut of his cloth. You know what I'm saying? So Bill Belichick, I don't know. Go fuck yourself.
You don't even realize it, but you just made the best possible pun because there is a meme that Bill Belichick always wears sweaters with the sleeves cut off. So you can literally say you don't like the cut of his cloth.
Wow. Either way, though, I don't know. You seem like a real doucher. Tom Brady, I don't know. If I ran on you, it'd just be like, oh, you just hate him because he's good. I'm not even that much of a football fan. Again, I only follow the Falcons. But you know what, though? Thank goodness for that. Thank goodness I live in an area, because I am in the New England area. I'm not surrounded by fucking Patriots marks. Because they're like, what? You don't like the Patriots? Oh, you like the Falcons? And then that would cause tension where there really shouldn't be any, because I like the superior team. Yeah, I said it. We may have lost, but we'll bounce back, all right? Fuck the Patriots. Fuck all your Super Bowl rings. You could shine them up all nice and stick them up your ass. And Bill Belichick, if you ever have a stroke on the field, I'm not saying I would laugh, but I'm not saying I wouldn't either. Maybe we'll leave it like the start of every football game, a fucking coin toss, Bill. Maybe that'll just be what it comes down to. Fuck yourself. So there's the J Scum rant. What's our final question here?
Our final question from Ace the Skylord, it is from Ace the Skylord, and it is just for John. Is Hideo Itami / Kenta versus Chris Benoit now your official dream match that never was?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my God. I think about the strikes of Kenta, and I think about just the brutality of Benoit. That would be an amazing matchup. But you know what? It would have to take place in Japan for me. I'd love them to fight in Tokyo Dome or any other legendary like setting in Japan, because I don't think WWE could do that match justice. I'm just being honest. I don't think they could do it justice. Have him go to Japan. I've been watching some of Benoit's older work, which I know Cliff can attest to. His stuff with Liger as Pegasus Kid was amazing, and I'd love to see him like go to Japan one more time, which obviously will never happen because, he's dead. But in my dream world, him going to Japan one more time, mixing it up with Suzuki, and yeah, Kenta, keeping the question focused, that would be one of my favorite matches fucking ever. So absolutely, Alonzo, it's my new dream match. It never was, because that would be amazing. I could just see that GTS into a crossface counter with my eyes, and God, it's beautiful. So that's that. Partner, what's our next question?
Well, we have another group of 4 questions from Mark Shoneman, and the first one is for Johnny Scumbag. Please cut a promo on psycho stalker fans who get pissed off when the wrestlers are rude to them.
Oh, brother, this I can do. This I can fight. Is Mark here? Is Mark here? I don't know if Mark's here right now. Mark, if you're not here, first of all, love you, buddy. You're fucking awesome. I've seen you tweet about this. Bruh, soul brothers, man, because I'm feeling everything you've been tweeting about this. Fuck these fucking psycho stalker fans that feel like they're fucking owed something. And you know what? I know he didn't ask me to rant about this, but I have to. And honestly, like, you guys know there are certain social issues that I'll speak out about, but once I speak out on it once, I don't like to do it over and over because we're a wrestling podcast and I like having fun with you guys, even the people I disagree with politically. Like I already told Hypothesis, we're bonding over that marijuana, and I still love the dude, despite the fact that I'm sure we disagree on quite a few things. I still love the guy, and I appreciate that he loves our product and supports us. It means a lot to me. But I am going to have my time, right? I am going to have my fucking time, and I'm going to be honest. Fuck Bully Ray and fuck all of these older male fans that when a woman is fucking talking about what she fears and what makes her uncomfortable, they're like, oh, she just doesn't get it. Oh, she should just appreciate the fandom when she has it. There's a difference between having fans when you can go to sanctioned signings and sanctioned events and trying to get on your goddamn flight and feeling like a person for 2 seconds because of how much is demanded from you on the fucking road for just 2 fucking seconds. Right? But you guys don't know that because, and I am going to say it, and fuck what an SJW or whatever I'm going to look like. These old fucking guys here that don't have to worry about that because it's a more patriarchal society and women do get catcalled and harassed. Of course they're going to say it's not a fucking problem. You never had to fucking live it, you dumb shits. You dumb fucking shits. You live in your fucking bubble. And now to the fans that Alonzo asked me about, these fucking people that are like, we pay your salary. Son, don't fucking flatter yourself and your shrimp dick little paycheck. You're barely even a drop in the bucket, if that. Don't fucking flatter yourself. Look, I'm not going to flatter myself and say that I make Johnny Mundo's career or I make Lucha Underground because one fan is just that. One fan. And you know what? If you really fucking cared, you'd make time to go to the events, support them in ways that actually helps them long term. And hell, guys, let me just say this, because I always like saying this with any rant. I haven't always been perfect. You know, I've done things as a fan, you know, that maybe I shouldn't have done or whatever. I don't speak to you guys as a paragon. I don't erect a pulpit, right, that I preach to you guys from. I'm as imperfect as anybody else. But Jesus fucking Christ. Right? Like, I hear these fucking people, oh, what's wrong about stalking people at the airport? Like, when you go out of your way to get flight intel, to get hotel numbers, but you can't even be bothered to buy a t-shirt or get GPS directions or buy a ticket or whatever you need to go to a sanctioned event and supporting them in ways that actually matter. But no, you've got to get your time. And no wonder these same people like Sasha say that these fans are only going to sell the stuff on eBay, because where's your commitment to stuff that can actually help them if you really cared? If you showed that much passion to showing up to every event, like say what you will about Sign Guy when he was still a big thing. I always respected him because he paid for every fucking show. Like that is a super fan because he did everything by the book. You're not a fucking super fan. You're a fucking creep. You're a creep and you deserve to be called out every time you do this shit. And the people in the business that enable you, like Lawler, like Bully Ray, like Shane Douglas, fuck them too. Because I think they're perpetuating toxic behaviors that isn't going to be any good for anybody, male or female. But I had to single them out because it was a woman speaking in Sasha, where I could see that extra layer of discomfort because of the society we fucking live in. Don't say that that shit's okay. Right? Like, we should just be grateful. I would love to go to an event and meet some of these people, but I'm not so desperate that I'm gonna be like, oh, what's Seth's flight information? What restaurant does Cesaro like to eat at? It's fucking pathetic. And quite honestly, if you put that kind of energy and effort into something that fucking mattered, or hell, even into, again, supporting them in legal means that could actually help their livelihoods, your life would be better for it. The world would be better for it. But no, you expend your energy instead being a creeper piece of shit. Honestly, Christian shouldn't even be called, and he hasn't been for years, but Christian used to be called a creepy little bastard. I feel like we can now use that label for all stalker fans and people that fucking enable them and embolden them when they make public comments on a forum like a podcast or whatever, as those fucking pricks did. And say, oh, well, Sasha's going to wake up one day and know what it's like not to have fans, and she better hope that that never happens. That isn't even what she was critiquing, you dumb fucks. Maybe if you actually listen to her, because Seth Rollins has said the same. but I noticed nobody was attacking. And that's another thing too that has to be called out. I'm sorry. I didn't see Seth get called out the way that Sasha's been getting called out when he said it. Because I can tell you for a fucking fact that he called out people that stalk at airports. Where were all the articles? This person responds to Seth. So why is it, and I hate to be that guy, but why is it that Sasha makes the same comments that Seth essentially did, and everybody and their mother feels the need to come out of the woodwork with a fucking opinion? Like, tell me that, because I think I know what the answer is. I don't think I have to fucking spell it out. It's because Sasha's a woman, and I bet you those guys that came from that era don't think that women should be wrestling the way they are. They think it was better when we had the bra and panties matches and this and that. I'm only assuming that. I don't have that on authority. Again, I should say that as well. But yeah.
Oh God, that brings me back to that story that came out this past week with that Billy, what's his name, talking about the exact same thing you were just referring to.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything.
I think he worked for a website called Sportskeeda, if I remember correctly. I don't remember what his last name was, but his first name was Billy, and it was spelled Billi, and I was immediately like, wow, this guy. Yeah, he's terrible. But yeah, he was pretty much saying like, oh, male fans these days don't want to watch a 10-minute women's wrestling match. They want to go back to when the women were used as sex objects.
Wasn't that the guy that got in the altercation with Aleister Black? And then Aleister Black
I think that's the exact situation I'm talking about, yeah.
Yeah, and then the guy was, oh, Paige's sex tape, any women's match this year, like greater than any women's match. And I'm like, fuck you, dude. And while I'm at it, even though it isn't part of the rant, and I apologize, Alonzo, fuck the person that recently called out a guy wearing Bailey merch. Like, oh, where's his masculinity? Like, fuck, the fuck does that even mean? Like, that's
dude,
why
it's this whole alpha, beta, red pill mindset that people think like, oh, if you are a Bailey fan and you are overtly showing it out in public, it's because you're a beta and you're not really a real man. Like, it's
like, dude, fuck that. That's why I'm actually so happy, because here's the thing. I couldn't even tell you guys, and I'm being sincere here. I feel like my sexuality, where I fall on the spectrum, I am primarily a straight guy, but you guys will notice when I'll be like, oh yeah, that guy's hot as hell. I have no qualms saying that. Would I act on that? No, because I think that goes into like different territory. But I have no qualms saying when I think a person is attractive or good looking, no matter their gender or whatever. Like, we need to lighten the fuck up. And we need to respect boundaries, and we need to get some goddamn respect back in here, because Sasha makes one comment and all the Hawks are swooping down, but Seth could say it, other guys could say it, and that doesn't make them wrong. I'm happy that Seth and others say it, but they don't get the attacks, probably because, again, they have the fucking Teflon that comes with being who they are. So I feel for Sasha, and I'm so glad Alonzo asked me this. Actually, no, it wasn't even Alonzo, it was Mark, excuse me.
Yeah, it was Mark Schoeneman.
Yeah, I apologize, Mark, and I hope you enjoyed the side tangents as well. But yeah, that was a rant I could go on, because fuck those fans and fuck these old-timer fucks that are just enabling them in the first place. So there's your J-Scum rant right there. See, now that's one I could be proud of.
Hey, I love it. I love it, dude. Let's move on to our next question is for me. And his question for me is, how long will it take for the Bears to actually be competitive, and what do they need to do to get there? Honestly, dude, like, I think the Bears are going to be ready next year. I think 2018, the Bears, you get Cameron Meredith back healthy. You get Mike Glennon out of there because he's trash. You start Mitchell Trubisky, and he'll probably be starting at some point this season because, like I said, Glennon is garbage. But, like, that defense looks good. I think the missing pieces, you have a true number one receiver in Cameron Meredith. I freaking love Cameron Meredith. I think Kevin White is garbage, but I do love Cameron Meredith. So I think that the three big missing ingredients to the Bears offense, an elite left tackle, an elite starting outside corner that can cover number one receivers and not get murdered for it, and the final ingredient is a number two receiver to be like that possession guy. Because I think Cam Meredith is like the overall, like he could be like your Julio Jones. Like, he's not as good as Julio, but he's a big, athletic, strong guy with good hands. He is like your target hog X receiver. You need a Z. And you have enough slot guys on your roster that one of them will eventually hit. But I think you need a Z receiver. I think you need a left tackle. And I really think you need to get a number one corner. But those are like really the three only ingredients that I think the Bears are like tragically bad at, because once you get Cameron Meredith back and once you start Mitchell Trubisky at quarterback, I think this team is ready to compete now. I'm actually really high on the Bears right now, and it's mostly to do with Mitchell Trubisky because I think he's a really good quarterback. I think he's going to be a really good quarterback in the NFL, and I'm looking forward to seeing him get an opportunity to start. So That was my answer to that question. Third question from Mark is for both of us. If King Kai watches over Earth and Supreme Kai watches over the universe, does Dakota Kai watch over the Dakotas?
Yes. And that's all there is to it. Yes. What about you?
No, see, the problem here is Dakota Kai watches over my universe.
That was actually kind of endearing. Okay, you know what? I didn't want to touch that. That was like unexpectedly sweet. I didn't know we were gonna be like, no, and that's a Marky question or like whatever. But you actually like I did not expect a field turn. So way to go, you. Let's move on to the next question.
Fourth and final question from Mark, also for both of us. Have either of you played any games in the Final Fantasy series? And if so, which are your favorites? I want to go first for this because I actually did play I think it was Final Fantasies 1 and 2. It was a GBA game, and it was a remake, or I guess you could call it like a remodel or like an update to older Final Fantasy games. I don't know if it was 1 and 2 or 2 and 3 or just I think I got 1 and 2, and then I also got Final Fantasy 3 for GBA, and I think Final Fantasy 3 might have been for DS. I don't even remember because I didn't play that one. But Final Fantasy 1 and 2 for GBA, I enjoyed quite a bit. I didn't play super often because that was one of those games where either you sunk hundreds of hours into it or you just kind of casually played it every now and then when you got bored with all the other games you were playing. And that was kind of where that game was for me. I always thought that the idea of Final Fantasy was really cool, but every time I really got into trying to play the games, I always got kind of bored with it just because like I feel like other games do the Final Fantasy formula better than Final Fantasy. Like I feel like if I want to play a Final Fantasy type game, I would be better off playing like a Dragon Warrior game or like a Golden Sun or something like that. So that's really all I have to say about that. John, how about you? Have you ever played a Final Fantasy game?
Here's the thing with me in Final Fantasy, and I've always said this about the games. I don't really care for RPGs, but aesthetically, they're some of the most stunning games that come out, whenever they come out. I was going to say every year, but I don't know if that's accurate. I only played one game when I had a friend of mine that was very much into them. I think it was still when the PlayStation was king. So like PS2 and stuff wasn't even out yet. And the notable moment was I had this, like, I guess I chose an effect or an ability, and I transformed into a woman. And I was like, well, that's interesting. And that's my only memory of a Final Fantasy game. I've never really played them. I only played that one very briefly. I've just never been into the series. So I'm sorry if that wasn't what you were looking for, Mark, but I can't answer really what I have no experience with. So there you go.
All right. Up next, we got I believe 4 questions. Yeah, 4 questions from Javaris. And his first question is for both of us. Why in God's name is Teen Titans Go a thing? You really want the answer to this, Javaris? Because I got a pretty quick, easy answer for you that you're not going to like.
And okay, so then you go first then. Rip off the Band-Aid.
Because it makes the Cartoon Network a shit ton of money by selling toys.
Money! Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong. If I was to give any other answer, I think it would veer into kind of a critique of the show. So I'm just going to go with what Ashton said. Money is king. Money is king, and, they're making it, so it's not going to stop. It's probably the same thing with this Powerpuff Girls remake, which I haven't even touched, and I love the original cartoon back in the 90s. So, yeah. Next question from Jarveris.
It's just for me, actually. Book how Roderick Strong would join the Undisputed Era. It's actually really funny you say this because it kind of seems like that's the direction they might even be going on NXT because I don't think it's this coming week or in 2 weeks or so. I think it might be this coming week. We're getting Roderick Strong versus Drew McIntyre, and we're getting sort of implications that Drew McIntyre might be behind Sanity. And we're getting Sanity versus Undisputed Era already. So all you got to do is have Roderick Strong lose to Drew McIntyre, snap, and join the opposing force, that being Undisputed Era. It's really perfect.
Which, honestly, given that you even said in our most recent NXT review that the shine of Roderick as a babyface with those like in-depth vignettes and stuff, like the shine that he got from that is worn off. This could be the shot in the arm that he needs because we've seen him and Adam Cole like as a team in like PWG and stuff. And now, granted, that was more of an antagonistic
Mount Rushmore.
Exactly. That was more antagonistic because they were 2 big egos. So they may have it where Roderick is a bit more subservient to Cole, or maybe it would be that same antagonism, which if they do would be fucking gold. But yeah, I have to agree with you. I think they're going the same way. And I even agree with what you said about the booking. I think a lot of it's already kind of laid out for you. You have Roderick lose and then he snaps. So yeah, I agree with you completely. So let's move on to Jarveris' next question.
All right, second question or third question actually from Javaris. Why is WWE screwing over the women on the Raw roster for the sake of Total Divas?
Does the money answer also apply here, or
I
not
think it
necessarily?
really does, because this is even worse though, because like with the first one, we can legitimately say like, yes, objectively, Teen Titans Go is a cash cow for Cartoon Network, but with this one, I don't think Total Divas is even really all that successful. Like, I think they get like maybe 1.5 million viewers weekly on USA Network, which, like, yeah, that's less than Raw or SmackDown regularly. And then you also take into account, like, they're basically saying all these women that are almost, I don't want to say objectively, because I do like to think that everything is really just opinion based when it comes to wrestling, but in my mind, the objectively worst performers here in Nia and Alexa are being pushed over the objectively better performers in Emma and Sasha. So I think that really does create this sort of conundrum where you're giving a lot of TV time and a lot of push and a lot of really everything that wrestling writers can give to lesser talents when you have better talents available to you and you're just refusing to give them anything. Just throw them a freaking bone here, all right?
Exactly. Amen to that. Not really much more I can add to what you said. Like, I feel like the women on Total Divas, they get priority because I think WWE enjoys being in that venue because they are first and foremost an entertainment company, right? And I think because Total Divas fills more in with the aesthetic that they strive for, that the people that actually provide the wrestling, I'm not saying they're going to get completely shafted, but, you know, it's clear like Emma's easily one of the best wrestlers they have on that roster, and look how she's used. Now, I guarantee if she was to be a part of Total Divas, maybe she would get a little bit of a push out of it. You know, it's a sad state of affairs, but that is the state of affairs, and it sucks. But what can you do? So let's move on to Jarveris' next question. What did he ask?
All right, Javaris's fourth and final question: why is Asuka going to Raw, and how will WWE eventually mess her up?
Um, Here's what worries me, like, because he asked us, like, how will Asuka come to Raw, right? You said that. Why is Asuka going to Raw? You know what? I think because in WWE's mind, Raw is still the A show. So if anything in their own minds, it's a compliment to Asuka. Like they want her on
Yeah,
their
it's like it's
show.
almost like a backhanding. Like it's them thinking it's a compliment while most people think it's like really terrible because like it's almost similar to like giving someone a match with Shane McMahon. Like in Vince's mind, that's like the biggest rub you can give. Like, oh my God, you're getting a match with a McMahon. But then it's like, well, yeah, but it's Shane McMahon, and it's not like anyone is gonna be like, oh, 5-star classic or anything like that, because Shane isn't that amazing of a worker, but he's gonna. And the other thing too is like anytime Shane McMahon is in a match, he's always the person that people are talking about afterwards because of his stupid stunts. Like that's all anyone's ever talking about after a Shane McMahon match.
Right, right.
And it's similar with the Raw situation. They're like, oh, Raw is the A show, so obviously putting someone on Raw is the biggest compliment we can give them.
And you know, for me, focusing more on like the fucking her up, I'm gonna answer that the same answer I would have given if it was SmackDown Live or if she stayed on NXT. Because the thing about people who have a mystique, whether it's Brock, you know, like I said, I feel like Strowman's kind of lost his mystique a little bit, which is fucking tragic. And now Asuka is who do you give that mystique to? Who's going to be the first person to defeat Asuka? Because you need to choose that very carefully. I know a lot of people immediately go to a Nia Jax. If they do that, in my opinion, with where Nia Jax is right now, I do think that's fucking her over. If it would be heel Sasha Banks in a very competitive matchup, I could excuse that. That could make sense, especially if she cheats, which I would have to presume she would. It's a very delicate situation. So you asked Reverse, how are they going to fuck her over? Really, the biggest way they could is however they handle the end of her streak. And
Yeah, and I don't even agree with that. I don't think, oh, you know, if they book her to lose, that's going to screw her up. I think what's going to screw her up is having to cut promos every week.
I'd see, like, it's not even booking her to lose. Like, everybody has to lose eventually, but how do you lose? Who do you lose to? There are circumstances to everything, you know? And, like, are they going to have circumstances that protect her and still make her walk away as a badass? And I do worry about that. Like,
Right.
I do worry about them with the circumstance of her losing. Because, again, I'm fine with her losing. I even just said in the same breath, I'd be cool with her losing to a heel Sasha Banks, especially if she cheated to do it. But if you're just like, oh, we've got to make Nia the most dominant force when she's beaten Nia twice in NXT, like I think that would be fucking her over, and it would be an ill investment. Of course, there's a little bit of bias in that since I'm not a Nia fan, but there's going to be bias in every answer I give on some level. So there's nothing I can really do about that. That's my biggest concern. And I think your answer's fine too. I mean, about the promos, because I mean, English isn't her first language. However, I do think her English is coming along nicely. I'm actually impressed because I think her and Kairi Sane really aren't doing too bad right now. I mean, they're not going to be the most eloquent promos, but I think they'll be enough. And so we'll see. But yeah, if they do give her a lot of talking time, I would just, honestly, I would make it incremental like they did in NXT. Have her just do that eerie smile.
Well, yeah, you would, but they're not going to, and that's what's going to mess her up.
Yeah. Oh, we'll see. We'll see. But yeah.
Exactly. All right. So up next, we're down. We've got 11 questions left, guys. So bear with us. Next question, we've got 3. Actually, we've only got 10 questions left, not 11. We've got 3 questions from Cliff Amal. First one is for both of us. If Sarah Amato, aka Sarah Del Rey, came into NXT as a full-time wrestler rather than as a coach, how far would she have gone? And would the state of women's wrestling be much worse without her as a trainer?
I want your opinion on this first, Ashton. What do you think about this?
Honestly, I do think that she made that much of a difference because really, I do think that Triple H would have had the women, go longer and stuff in NXT with or without her as a trainer. But I also think that there's a really good chance that without her as a trainer, the matches wouldn't have been as good as they were. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, and then I've also got to wonder. Question, like if she comes in as a wrestler, I mean, she would probably be still like she's still in the training center. There's no reason she can't still coach the girls up. Like she's still would be like trying to help the girls out and stuff. That's just like her natural state of being. That's just how she is. So I don't even know if there would be a huge difference. But really, I'm just gonna say there would be a slight difference in that there's a chance that the NXT women's matches that kind of went down in history as great might not have been as good without her behind them.
Yeah.
But then we might have gotten different matches. She might have been in Charlotte's place against Natalya in that takeover match, like we don't know.
Yeah, because I mean, part of the question was how far would she have gone? I feel like she would have been a women's champion. Hell, honestly, when I was this question.
I don't want to say for sure that she would have been women's champion because WWE has their weird like things with as far as your look goes, and she's not like supermodel hot by any means.
Right.
So that would be my only question would be if WWE would be willing to be like, well, you're not much to look at, which would just be the shittiest thing to say, but I could totally imagine WWE being like that, but we're going to give you the title anyway. Or if they would have just been like, you know what, looks don't matter that much. You're the best in-ring worker we have. We're giving you the title. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like Sarah Amato, to kind of sum it up as succinctly as I can, I think she was a driving force in really changing the culture in WWE about how women are presented and perceived. I feel like without her there, like it would have come eventually, but it would have been far more incremental because I probably would have had people in there that were still a part of those older generations of like the bra and panties and this and that. So they probably would have made a sincere effort. But I think Sarah Amato, like she just gets it. And I think you need somebody that just gets it if you want to be that driving force. And all the women have said at one point or another, Sarah Amato was amazing to me. The training was great. She really helped me with this. So yeah, I think she should be credited with a hell of a lot. And I think if she was a competitor, I could even see her as a multi-time women's champion. Like I was thinking, like, I don't know why. I thought she'd be like a 4-time champion. That was kind of the number that came in my mind. So I could see her having a good bit of success, but I think her real legacy is all the women that she's given a fair shake. Because imagine if Sasha came in before the Sarah Amato era. And like Sasha, she even has said in interviews, like she didn't want to learn how to hair pull this and that. She wanted to learn how to wrestle. I think Sarah gave so many women and still gives so many women the opportunity to do that. And I think that's a legacy, worth celebrating. So yeah, she's been huge. And I think she could have been big as a superstar, but I think she's even bigger here.
Yeah, so. I agree with you there. Definitely. All right. Second question from Cliff. What's your favorite WWE pay-per-view name?
Growing up, I always liked the term, bad blood, and stuff like that. No Mercy, despite the fact that this latest outing was a shit show. I always liked the name of that, too. Armageddon always had a cool fucking sounding name to me, and you guys know my new adopted rule. I do things in threes, so Bad Blood, No Mercy, Armageddon. Those will be my three.
I mean, I don't know if I'm going to get to three, but I think my favorite WWE pay-per-view name of all time was St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
Yeah, good shit.
That's such a cool name, and it's so not PC that it would never fly these days just because of the word massacre being in it.
Right.
I definitely think that that's one of the coolest sounding nicknames they've ever had. Judgment Day. Did you say Judgment Day?
No, but that's an excellent pick.
I love Judgment Day. And then as far as like a pay-per-view that I think you could do a lot with creatively that I don't know if WWE's ever actually done anything with creatively is No Way Out, because I think that you have a lot of potential to use any of your various cage or containment style matches in that. And really, you could do away with the concept of the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view and just use the Elimination Chamber on occasion in the No Way Out pay-per-view, and it would still fit because you have no way out of those pods until it's your time.
I feel like they even did that one year. Yeah, so
no, I don't think they did, dude.
No, I think it was either 2008 or 2009 where No Way Out had like 2 Elimination Chamber matches. I'd have to look.
I really don't think the Elimination Chamber was ever at a No Way Out show.
Well, you know what we do with these? We consult the internet. So I said either 2008 or 9. So let me look at the 2 years because I know it was one of those. Because I know Jeff Hardy was one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Beginning in 2008, the match became exclusive to the No Way Out pay-per-view with 2 elimination matches. Yeah, I didn't even realize. I apologize for trying to, correct you on something that you were right on, but I was not watching WWE in 08 or 09, and apparently it was 2010 when they replaced No Way Out with the self-titled Elimination Chamber. So I was literally not even watching WWE when the Elimination Chamber match was in No Way Out. I just didn't know.
Hey, bro, that's cool. That's why the internet's a beautiful thing, right? We resolved it. Because, I knew, because I remember Jeff Hardy, and I'm looking at the poster that I remember, too. And I also remember that Seether had the theme that year with Fake in it. That's one of the few Seether songs that I really like.
Oh, yeah. That was a good song.
Yeah, it was. But, yeah, I actually love your idea. And again, WWE had the same thought at the time, and I think it'd be really smart if they came back.
But you know what, though? I wouldn't revolve the whole show around just the Elimination Chamber match. I would have... I think that would be the only show of the year that I would try and feature every containment style match in. Like I would have a Ring of Fire match, I would have a lumberjack match, I would have a cage match, I would have a steel Hell in a Cell, and I would have an Elimination Chamber if I could. But I don't think that that's even possible because you have to hang all those above the ring. And like I said, maybe I would just do War Games since that's like a double or triple cage match. So I don't know. I just think you can do more with it than what they did.
Yeah, I can certainly appreciate where you're coming from, dude. Next question.
Oh, God, where even were we? I think that was the last question. Oh, no, that was the second question from Cliff Amal. Third question from Cliff Amal. Is Asuka the greatest NXT star of all time? No, because I think Neville probably would be. It's either Neville or Balor.
Here's the thing about that.
Or Bayley. I would put Bayley. I would put Bayley above Asuka, honestly.
I'm gonna give a shout out to a friend of mine. He's one of those leftist wrestling Twitter friends that I sometimes reference on here. Max A. Belmont. He actually made a case that she already is. In fact, he did a Twitter thread where he thinks that she already has like a Hall of Fame worthy career with her streak and with everything she did. Like she beat Goldberg's streak. She did. I think he even like compared her to The Undertaker in some context. I thought it was a good thread. I don't know if I'd say she's the greatest NXT star ever for my money. Like, I'd agree with you. Like, I feel like Balor was game-changing for NXT. Balor probably would be my pick, if I'm honest. But yeah. I think Asuka had the type of career where she's in the conversation. Like, I will give her that much, even if I don't necessarily
I think it comes down to 4 people. Finn Balor, Neville, Asuka, Bayley. Like, it's a conversation between those 4.
Yeah. Totally. I'd agree with that, actually, down to the last name, being Bayley. So, yeah, I don't know if I'd give it to Asuka, but she's definitely warranted in being in the conversation. My vote would be Balor, but I could see why Cliff would ask. So thank you, Cliff. And I think you said that was his 3rd question, right?
And final. He only had 3. But then we had 4 questions from David Finara. First one is, are you going to do Lucha Underground Season 3 rewatch? Do you have any idea when?
Well, yeah, we're totally gonna do it, right? Because it's just been a tradition.
Absolutely, we are, of course. And I'll tell you when as well. We're going to start it as soon as season 3 is over.
Yeah. So probably like you figure like what? Lucha Underground's gonna end like mid-October. So
It's gonna
either
the last episode of Ultima Lucha Trace is October 18th. So I think we might give ourselves a week as a break, but then that would be like the October 25th Wednesday where we're just not going to cover anything Lucha related at all, which is going to be, it's going to be painful, but we might need like a break at that point. But then the following Wednesday we'll probably do episode 1 of season 3 rewatch.
yeah, which
And that'll be what, November 2nd, maybe?
It might even be November
1st.
1st.
Yeah, it's November 1st.
So it's perfect.
Yeah.
So we're starting at the very beginning of November, which is why I love that idea of that placement, because it really is a great reset and you begin the month right with that content. So yeah, Fanara, you can expect Lucha Underground Season 3 rewatch. We're definitely continuing that tradition. And November 1st, I think we just set a date. So there you go.
Yeah, November 1st will be episode 1. Man, how fitting is that? Knowing that I think the first ever episode of Lucha Underground was like October 29th. It's like a couple days removed.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude.
But then so it'll be November 1st. I think we're going to be covering like maybe it really depends on if and when season 4 is announced. If season 4 is announced by the end of season 3, or maybe even the day that season 3 ends on October 18th. Like if season 4 is announced by the time we start doing this, we'll probably do like, I'm not even really 100% sure how many episodes per week we would do, because it's a 40 episode thing. So we could do 1, 2, or 4 episodes a week. If we feel like we have to expedite the process, like if we feel like the show is going to come back as of like January, like immediately like that, we'll probably do 4 episodes a week. If we feel like it's going to take a little longer for them to come back, we'll probably do 2. But if we do 2 episodes a week, that's 20 weeks. That's like what, 5 months ish.
Yeah, we're gonna get a lot out of that, man.
No, I mean, if we're starting November, 40 or 20 weeks after November would be like freaking March.
Yeah, so
maybe even April. I don't even know. My math might be off there, but yeah, it's. If we're prepared to take a deep seat for waiting for Lucha Underground season 4, then we'll do 2 episodes a week. Otherwise, if we feel like it's going to be like January when they start, we'll probably just do 2 episodes a week. But yeah, there you go, guys. There's your date.
All right, next question.
All right, next question is: are you ever going to do videos like top 10 best things about Lucha Underground, or top 10 videos in general?
I don't really think we've ever been like a top 10 channel. TWitWoW's never struck me as such, so I would personally say no. But here's the thing, guys. I always usually defer to Ashton because he always makes a great case for shit, and I'm along for whatever ride he wants to go on. So what about you, bud?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I mean, what are we gonna do? Top 10 reasons Lucha Underground is awesome, and then top 10 reasons WWE sucks? That doesn't feel fair.
Yeah. It feels like, if I'm being honest, it feels like kind of the route that I would see What Culture Wrestling go to sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't want to become
that. And then,
that.
like, the thing, too, is, like, when you're making a top 10 list, a lot of the time you only have, like, 5 or 6 good reasons. So you start, like, repeating yourself. Like, oh, why is Lucha Underground awesome? Number 10, because all the characters are cool. And then, like, number 4, because everyone has something going on. And then number 1, because the storylines all make sense. Like, it starts to all kind of run together. And it's like, what's the point? Like, I would almost rather make a why you should watch Lucha Underground video than making a top 10.
Yeah, exactly. Because I feel like a why you should watch would be more of an open-ended kind of a conversation.
Exactly, yeah. Like, I'm not trying to pigeonhole us into a certain number of reasons.
No, let us converse. Like, hell, I feel like our preview for Ultima Lucha Trace preview predictions was that kind of a video, because we were talking about like the brilliance of cinematics and angles, and like that's the kind of video that's going to bring people over to Lucha Underground, not a fucking top 10. So yeah, I don't think I can really do that.
Precisely. So let's get to our third question from David Fanara, and I shouldn't say our third question. I should say my third question.
It's all about you.
The question is: I heard you like Ark. What are the things you enjoy the most about the game? Well, I don't really play Ark as much as I'd like to, but as far as what I enjoy most about the game, really the number one and the biggest thing I love about Ark is just how freaking beautiful it looks. It is the most visually stunning game I've ever personally played, and one of the most visually stunning games I've ever seen. Now, it's not the most visually stunning games I've ever seen because in BioShock Infinite takes the cake on that. But it is still beautiful visually, and like I love just the idea that they have like these full almost to scale models of dinosaurs because I am a huge mark for dinosaurs. John will tell you that.
Yes.
And like even if not all the dinosaurs are like perfectly anatomically correct from what we know from science, most of them are close enough that I can appreciate it. To like if you would look at the original Walking with Dinosaurs documentary series and compare it to Ark's character models and their player models, I think Ark is more accurate right now. It's kind of crazy, actually.
Yeah, I will say, like, I don't even play Ark, and I know it was just your question, but I agree with you wholeheartedly about the aesthetics. Visually, that game is fucking gorgeous.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's definitely the one thing that I know, again, it wasn't my question. That's just my 2 cents there. So, what's our next question from Venara here?
David asks, rather fight 20 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck? You know you've made it in the world of Q&A when this question gets asked.
One horse-sized duck, you know, because I ain't afraid to die. Fucking come at me, duck. What are you going to do? Quack at me? So, yeah, one horse-sized duck is fine.
I definitely would also take the horse-sized duck because here's the thing, guys. We're talking about size, so we're talking about volume. We're talking about taking a duck and all of its proportions and just stretching it out to the point that it's the size of a horse. But ducks have hollow bones, so it would still only be like, what, 50, 60 pounds at most? I'd be able to throw that thing around like a rag doll. I'd happily take on a horse-sized duck. I don't give a shit.
And then you'd be able to eat it. Like, I would totally eat the shit out of it.
Hell
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Like,
hell yeah.
Bird meat is amazing. Imagine giant duck hot wings.
Oh my god, dude, what the fuck are we standing around here for? You and I should team up, kick the shit out of that horse-sized duck, and then eat like kings. We can fucking do this, man. Yeah, fuck that horse-sized duck. I'm sorry.
Actually, you know what? I wouldn't even want to kill it. I wouldn't even want to kill it. I would just want to beat it up real good and tame it because then we can get horse-sized duck eggs, which would be like, they would make us rich.
Yeah, rich and a never-ending food supply. We accumulate enough of that shit, like we can cure world hunger. Goddamn, with the
that's assuming if it's a female duck. If it's a female duck, we'll keep it for eggs. If it's a male duck, it's dying.
Oh yeah, also because my insecurities can't allow an animal greater than me. I'm man, so if it's a male duck, yeah, we're gutting it and we're eating it.
So really, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what gender this horse-sized duck is. Its service or its purpose will be sustaining us.
Exactly. That's man's relationship with nature in a nutshell. You're beautiful.
Rabbit season.
You're beautiful, but your whole purpose is servicing me. Oh, all right. I feel like we're
really is duck season.
I feel like we've got Alex Foster's questions left, and then that's it. So
yeah, we've got 3 questions from Alex Foster. First one is, what would be the worst wrestling moves to take if the person doing the moves was naked?
German suplex immediately comes to mind because
the guy's be awkward.
Yeah.
How about a jackknife cover?
Oh god, yeah.
Ass to the face.
Oh yeah, well that's another thing too. Rear view. I mean, that would be taken to a whole other level.
Yeah, but Zack Ryder already did that with a donut in his mouth.
Oh god.
That's one of the old Bill DeMott things that he had people do.
Oh god, Bill, you were a piece of shit. Let's see. Any aerial maneuver
Baldo
like
bomb, or not Baldo bomb,
Bonsai drop?
Bonsai drop, Vader bomb, either one works.
Yeah. Honestly,
we gotta remember we're not naked, it's just the person delivering the move. So if they land like dick to our stomach, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. But like really I'm thinking about things that happen to our face, because that would be like the area.
Bronco Buster or Stink Face.
Oh, Bronco Buster, you win right there. Bronco Buster, end of story.
Then let's move on to our next question.
The next question from Foster. Zack Ryder has won the Lucha Underground Championship, but my question is, how high of a Super Saiyan do you think you can go?
I feel like Foster wanted to hurt me there, and he succeeded.
Oh, he absolutely did. He even specified in the message that those two questions have nothing to do with each other.
Yeah. Here's the thing. If I'm being completely honest with myself and my physical limitations, because you guys know that I am like disabled and stuff, I'd be lucky to even be Super Saiyan 1, but that is what I'll give myself. I could only reach the beginning level. And if people want to use Goku logic where it's like, oh, you have to fight for something, you have to have a fighting spirit, man, fuck that. I'm still only getting to Super Saiyan 1. At most, I would stop at like Ascended Saiyan, because Super Vegeta was always my favorite iteration, and having muscles like that would be fucking sick. So yeah, at most Ascended Saiyan, but I'll even say Super Saiyan 1, exhibiting some humility and some honesty here. What about you? How far could you go?
I think I would probably stop at Super Saiyan 3 because of the long flowing locks that
I knew it. I fucking knew it. Because yeah, I was even gonna say you strike me as a Super Saiyan 3 because we've talked about like your long hair in the past, and I'm like, he would fucking want that hair. And what was your reasoning? The hair.
Exactly. Yep. That's exactly right. Yep. Exactly.
Now I'm in your headspace, motherfucker. I'm ramming it in there.
All right. Okay. Final question from Alex Foster. What wrestlers should sing their own theme songs?
Dolph Ziggler, because he's such a sad, pathetic cretin. I want him to do it. I want him to do it so he feels like he's somebody. So
really,
yeah,
you just want him to do it so that it seems even more like he's trying to rip off Shawn Michaels.
Exactly. You know what you are. Nothing but a cheap imitation. Sasha singing her theme, I guess, would be cool.
No, no.
Well, hey, look, this is a question for both of us, man. Wait your turn in Mark Henry voice.
Mark Henry, I want Mark Henry to join 3-6 Mafia on his theme song.
Oh, that would be, dude. He should do like at least one music video with them where he just beats the shit out of people in the background. Amazing. I didn't tell you you could interrupt the chorus. I'm sorry. Tossed over. Yeah. So Sasha,
Miz, I want Miz to sing "I Came to Play."
Yeah, that could work. Marie singing her song in her tongue of French, that could be interesting.
No, I just don't have any interest in that.
I want Aiden English to say. Does his theme even have lyrics in it?
I tell you what, if you want me to change the channel every single time Aiden English comes on my TV, rather than just muting his promos and then dealing with his matches, that would be a great way to get me to do it.
Yeah, I just want it because, one, I don't hate his singing voice nearly as much as you do, but I know you hate it, and it's just another passive-aggressive way to hurt you.
I want Elias Sampson to sing his theme.
I'll pass on that. We don't want to overstrain the gimmick, and yeah. Nah.
I mean, he would have to do it. He would have to do it for a new theme song after he decides to be done doing the pre-match singing in the ring.
I want Jason Jordan to sing his so we could call him out for being mediocre about something else.
Dude, if you think Jason Jordan would only be mediocre at singing, I've got a really bad news for you.
Yeah. It would be like cats dying, I'm sure. You know what? No, it's because Emma's theme is now just purely like instrumental. There are no lyrics to it.
It's always been. It's never had lyrics.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because even though Blue Saraceno, like that was an original lyrical song, they only took the instrumental version of that. So yeah, she's never really had lyrics. Yeah, I guess that's it for me. But I mean, you seem like you're full of ideas. So who are some people that you'd like to sing there? I know you already gave some answers, but do you have any more that you'd like to share?
Roman. I want Roman to add lyrics to his theme because that would just be hilarious.
Yeah, all right, I can dig that.
Oh, I want Seth Rollins to be the one screaming, "Burn it down!"
Yeah, that would be crazy. In fact, maybe they should do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that'd be kind of cool. I don't know. It'd be interesting.
That's all I got. That's all I got.
That's all you got. That's all I got. So that ends Q&A. We actually ended at a pretty good time. So
I know it only took us 3 hours. Well, we did have fewer questions this month than we expected. I was expecting 80 plus. We didn't even reach 60. So actually, I think we hit 60 at the end because I did end up adding Foster's questions after we started. It was like 7:02 that he got his questions in, but still 62 questions. Not bad at all. I'm not going to lower the cap yet. It's still going to be 4, so you guys can ask up to 4 questions. And yeah, I'm glad that we got done this early, and now we can watch the rest of the Packers-Bears game. And unfortunately for, I think it was Mark Schoeneman that asked the Bears-related question, they're getting beat already 14-0, even though the game went to a lightning delay.
God damn. All right, guys. Well,
goddamn.
Just for me, before I send it back to Ashton to take us home, thank you to everybody who submitted your questions. You guys did amazing as always. You know the drill. As soon as this goes off the air, I'll unpin the original tweet. I'll pin the new one. It'll be Q&A number 16. This one will take place, since we do the last Thursday of every month, October 26th. So October 26th.
I've actually been meaning to ask you, John, do we have anything extra planned for this coming week, or is it literally just Lucha Underground and NXT?
It should just be Lucha Underground and NXT because we took care of all of our Patreon requests for the month.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Then I also wanted to ask, do you know when Hell in a Cell is?
I think that's, wait a minute. I want to say that that's October 15th. Okay. It might be the 8th though. Let me check real quick. Again, we have the internet, so let me just see this. Hell in a Cell 2017. It's either October 8th or the 15th. And it's, Jesus, all right, Wikipedia. October 8th. I was a week off. It's October 8th.
Okay, then this coming week, we're going to have to do preview predictions on, let's do it on Thursday since we don't have anything else planned for Thursday.
All right. So then, yeah, next Thursday then will be Hell in a Cell, Hell in a Cell, preview and predictions. And then before that, of course, it'll be Ultimate Lucha Trace Night 2 and NXT Review. So that's when you guys will be checking in with us again. And again, Q&A number 16, October 26th. 4 questions per Q&A, yada, yada, yada. Ashton, take us home.
All right, guys. The most important thing I want to drive home is to get into the Patreon while you can. It is currently September 28th. You have 2 days, not including today. You have tomorrow, which is Friday, and then Saturday to get your Patreon donations in. If you get in $3 a month, you will join our Discord by Sunday, October 1st. And if we get up to $120 cumulatively from everyone in the community, John and I will do our first Progress live reaction on Tuesday, October 3rd. So really, really close. We're really closing in on it. But we need to hit that $120 community goal in order for us to go through with that. Otherwise, it's going to be at minimum another month before we start doing Progress live reactions. John and I are excited for it. It seems like you guys are pretty excited for it, but we want to see your excitement show up in the Patreon. We want to see those donations roll in. All we're asking for is a grand total, a cumulative total of $120 for the month. And that's basically averaging out to $30 a week, which if you average out the Progress shows timestamps, it ends up being about what you would pay for a live reaction if you were doing a live reaction request. Only it's not one person paying, it's the entire community. So that's kind of how we worked it out. And of course, you can also buy anything you want from our Teespring, whether it's a t-shirt, a mug, or a sticker. We have all kinds of different designs on there. We've got the I'm not finished with you Braun Strowman design. We've got the real face of the revolution, Emma design. We've got the Scum Squad design. We've got the TWitWoW design. We've got the 2 different, John, I'll let you take the Kevin Owens design thing.
Because he's a father, damn it!
We've got 2 of those designs. We've also got the I'm a TWitWoW guy and I'm a TWitWoW girl designs. You've got all kinds of options, people. There's no reason why you shouldn't be rocking TWitWoW merch if you have the interest in doing so. And seeing as how you're here 3 hours into a 3-hour-long Q&A, I'm assuming you've got at least a little interest in it. So go ahead and check out the Teespring. Follow us both on Twitter, like the Facebook, check out the subreddit, and we will see you guys on, well, it depends. It really does depend. If we get to the $120 community goal, we'll see you on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern time for our first ever Progress live reactions. But otherwise, if we don't hit that, we'll see you on Wednesday night for Lucha Underground Ultima Lucha Tres Part 2 live reactions. It's going to be a lot of fun, guys. And of course, remember to stay tuned.